What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 13SS Chapter 286 Pirate World Expo, big names appear. On this day, a certain sea area in the Grand Route New World suddenly became lively. One pirate ship after another began to gather together. Among them, there are also ships that are not pirate ships. For example, a ship with a strange shape that looks like a big bird. This is the newsboat of the World Economic News Service. At this moment, Morgans, nicknamed Big News, was leaning against the guardrail with intense eyes, looking at the pirate ships passing by around him. Affected by the war at the top, their recent newspapers have been sold out, and the power of public opinion has greatly increased as a result. But Morgans discovered that this was just the beginning. It's all because recent major events have happened one after another and it's impossible to stop. After the war, the battle of reckoning between black and white began. The ape god Yang Hao became the biggest winner, defeated the black group, and took over the Whitebeard pirates. As for Marine, Sengoku took a backseat, Akainu came to power, and Aokiji was defeated. It's really big news one after another, and now, there is no doubt that another big news is born. Pirate Expo. Yes, after a few years, the Pirate World Expo is about to start again. This is a big celebration attended only by pirates. The pirates of the Grand Line will basically gather together for competitive activities. In addition, there are various dark festivals. How could Morgans miss such a place? At this moment, looking at the pirate ships gathering one after another, Morgan's eyes were bright, as if he had foreseen the big news happening. No, it should be said that having so many pirates gathered together is a big news in itself. And this big news will lead to more big news. Thinking of this, one can imagine Morgan's excitement. And then, under the watchful eyes of Morgans, big names began to appear. Wait a minute, is that guy the former 7 warlords of the sea, Sand Crocodile? He's right. During the war, he also stole the limelight. Hey, why is he with Hawkeye? And that one is Buggy the Clown, right? Why do these people seem to be led by Buggy? How is that possible? He is the world's greatest swordsman, and there is also a sand crocodile, so he should not be underestimated. Following the voices of discussion, Morgans quickly noticed a group of people on one of the pirate ships. This group of people is none other than Crocodile, Mahawk, and Buggy the Clown. What's strange is that both Crocodile, whose strength cannot be underestimated, and Hawkeye, known as the world's greatest swordsman, stand on the left and right of Buggy the Clown, like foils. Morgans also knew about Buggy the Clown, and he even checked on this guy. I never expected that he would be a crew member of One Piece just like the Red Hair. But according to Morgan's understanding, Buggy is not as powerful as Red Hair. He has been hanging out in the East China Sea for many years, and he only recently entered the Grand Line. But he was caught into Impel Down City after not hanging around for long, and it was only because of Straw Hat Luffy that he escaped. The subsequent war on top was also a manifestation of soy sauce, but what is going on now? Morgan suddenly felt that this clown Buggy should also pay attention to it. As a One Piece crew member, he also has a lot of traffic. If you think about it for a while, it may not be a big news. But then, Morgan's attention was quickly distracted. Because more respectable pirates appeared. Surgeon of Death, Trafalgar Divatil Row. Si Ming, Scarrockman Apu, the godfather of Mob, Capone Becky. Big Stomach Girl, Joelle Bonnie. Basil, the Magician, Hawkins. Eustace Kid. This is Pirate Supernova. Among them, when Eustace Kid came, he defeated a pirate ship along the way, looking extremely arrogant. What makes Morgans a bit regretful is that the Straw Hat Kid from One Piece Supernova did not appear. Otherwise, it would definitely be big news. After all, although the current Straw Hat Boy is not strong enough, he is certainly topical enough. Of course, even so, Morgans is very satisfied. The strange combination of Buggy the Clown and Crocodile, Hawkeye, and the appearance of the pirate supernovas are already big news. When such new and old camps compete, they will definitely attract great attention. Next, Morgan saw many famous pirates. Just by spreading the word about this lineup, it is estimated that it will gain a lot of attention, let alone the official launch next. Aokiji. What is he doing here? There's also the pirate Supernova who was at the same time as Ace a few years ago, White Horse, Cavendish. All in all, the big news this time is done. Absolutely right, only he has this ability. But while patting, Morgan suddenly stopped in shock, looked in a certain direction, and his pupils shrank. If not Aokiji, who else? Along the way, a conspicuous road of ice crystals appeared on the sea. That's right, I came here on a bicycle. Some pirates with grudges still fought on the spot. The appearance of these people confirmed Morgan's thoughts. The name Marine General is no joke, but what he is more worried about is that if Aokiji appears here, is he trying to take this opportunity to kill all the pirates here? And with a large number of pirates gathering, the Pirate World Expo has not even started yet, and fighting is already happening on the scene. But he changed his mind and shook his head, so, why is he here? After seeing Aokiji, most of the pirates became excited. With such a large number and level of pirate lineup, even Aokiji cannot handle it alone. Even Morgans couldn't help but frown. Big news will definitely happen here. I saw a lone figure suddenly riding a bicycle from the sea in the distance. Marine General Aokiji. The number of pirates gathered at the Pirate Expo is unimaginable. In terms of bounty alone, it easily exceeds tens of billions of belly. The arrival of a big shot like Aokiji, no matter what his purpose is, seems to be big news. But thinking about it this way, Morgan's eyes became hot again. What? It's him. In the sight of the telescope, a tall and thin figure approached leisurely on a bicycle. Thinking of this, Morgans quickly asked his men to start recording the pirates who appeared on the scene. Everyone who saw this scene stared, and the pirates fighting in that direction stopped subconsciously. For example, Qingzhou, the leader of the Babao Navy. That's... Morgans picked up the binoculars and sure enough. Morgans was not surprised but delighted, recording everything one by one. He even couldn't help but take out a camera and start taking pictures. Eustace Kid, who was more aggressive, got into a fight again. That person is... Chapter 287 World Recruitment, represents the permanent indicator of One Piece's throne. Marine Headquarters. Fleet Admiral Office. Akainu has suddenly taken office and replaced Sengoku's position. Early in the morning, information from the Pirate World Expo came over. Akainu's face darkened. Pirate Expo. Especially after learning where Aokiji had gone, Akainu's eyes jumped. Just a few days ago, the five elders reprimanded Aokiji for leaving Marine. Unexpectedly, Aokiji now went to interfere in the Pirate Expo. This be *************. Akainu gritted his teeth and murmured, then suddenly picked up a cigar and started smoking it. He had learned to smoke cigars since the war. This kind of thing can not only relieve his pain after the battle with Aokiji, but also slightly relieve his huge pressure. Yes. Being Akainu of Marine Fleet Admiral is a stressful experience. In the past, when he was only Marine Lieutenant General or General, he could just charge headlong and kill the enemy heroically. But now that he has become Marine Fleet Admiral, he has experienced the pressure of the Warring States period. The entire marine affairs rested on his shoulders. There are all kinds of situations and countless clues, and the fundamental reason cannot be understood. He suddenly missed the time when he was a general. Don't think too much, just go over with a big fire breather. But now, it's too late to say anything. Now that he has become a Marine Fleet Admiral, he will have to do something great. In fact, the whole situation sounds complicated, but in fact, it is also very simple. It is nothing more than leading the entire Marine to continue to be strong. The wave of the times has clearly arrived, and they can no longer rest on their laurels. Thinking of this, Akainu quickly issued an order, call Marine Senior Management for a meeting. Soon, Marine Senior Management was summoned for a meeting. Present here are Warring States, Crane, Kizaru, Ghost Spider, Flying Squirrel and others. Speaking of which, this is Akainu's first meeting since he took office. The theme of the meeting was naturally decided by Akainu. And this was also an idea he had long ago. What? Move the Marine headquarters to New World. Just hearing the idea put forward by Akainu, the Marine executives present were extremely surprised. Even Sengoku, who had retired behind the scenes and served as Marine Inspector General, had eyes twinkling. That's right. Akainu's suggestion was to relocate the Marine headquarters to New World. This proposal is obviously in line with the Hawks, represented by Akainu. Determined and enterprising. It's just that this time, even Ghost Spider and others who belong to the Hawk faction are not optimistic about it. Mainly because they lost miserably in the war. Not only did the Whitebeard pirates leave safely, but the Impel City in the rear fell as a result. The current situation is simply dire. On the one hand, they have to rebuild Marinefondo, and on the other hand, they have to hunt down fugitives, so there is a huge shortage of manpower. And now, with Aokiji's departure, their high-level combat power is also greatly lacking. This Pirate Expo was obviously a good opportunity to annihilate a large number of pirates, but they could only send Smoker to fight. Under such circumstances, the difficulty of relocating Marine headquarters to New World can be imagined. You know, this is not a simple relocation. They moved to the New World, which meant going to war with the Pirate Emperor entrenched there. At present, although Whitebeard and Kaido have both died, only Yang Hao and Red Hair are left. But precisely for this reason, they should not be underestimated. In view of this, the Dovish generals began to refute. The Hawks and others also tried to persuade. Akainu looked around at everyone, took a puff of his cigar and said, "Of course, I also know what you were talking about." In fact, how could Akainu not know that it is not appropriate to enter the New World right now? Their Marines, no matter whether they are low-level soldiers or high-level combat power, are not enough. But since Akainu raised this point, he naturally thought of a way. So, in order to successfully enter the New World, I decided to recruit troops from all over the world. I will lower the conditions for this recruitment. No merit is required. As long as you are clean and have sufficient strength, you can serve as the corresponding Marine General or even General. As soon as Akainu finished speaking, everyone's expressions suddenly became wonderful. The hawkish people became ready to take action. It's not that they don't want to enter the New World, they just don't want to have no chance of winning. But now, the world conscription proposed by Akainu seems to be able to improve the situation. In this case, why not do it? Doves, on the other hand, are as prudent as ever, refuting Akainu's proposal. After all, in this way, even if we can really recruit general-level combat power, the question is, can we use it with confidence? What if the other party is an undercover pirate or a revolutionary army? However, with Aokiji, Sengoku and others leaving and retreating behind the scenes, the doves no longer have much say. Ever since, with Akainu's strong push, Marine started recruiting troops around the world. In a blink of an eye, the news spread all over the world. And just when the world conscription was launched, the Pirate Expo is in full swing. After half a day of gathering, the number of pirates present had soared to more than 100,000. A man with a gloomy afro appeared on the podium. He is the organizer of the Pirate Expo, Buenafesta. Looking at the pirates present, Buenafesta's eyes flashed with a cold light. Then his voice resounded throughout the island. Dear guests, I am Buenafesta, and now I am here to announce to you the prize of this competition. Hearing this, everyone looked at Buenafesta, even Aokiji. Among the crowd, Buggy's eyes were fiery. He liked this kind of competition the most. I wonder what treasure the prize will be. Countless people looked forward to it. After all, the prizes offered at the Pirate Expo were all extraordinary. But next time, when the answer was revealed, everyone was still shocked. Deng, deng, deng. The prize for this competition is a permanent indicator that records Raftru. After Buenafesta finished speaking, the entire venue fell into silence. Immediately afterwards, noisy cheers soaring into the skies suddenly burst out. What? The final island of Ravdru? There are permanent indicators there. OMG. No one wants to steal it from me, it's mine. The pirates were all very excited. Of course they are no strangers to the name Ravdru. That is the name of the final island. In other words, as long as you get this permanent indicator, you can easily go to Loftru and become one piece. There is no doubt that the prize this time was so unexpected that it caused a sensation in the audience. Next, without Buenafesta's reminder, countless pirate ships began to chase and compete in the venue. The Pirate Expo officially begins. Chapter 288 Aokiji's Purpose, the red-haired group arrives. On the turbulent sea, the grand spectacle of thousands of sails competing is now taking place. Ha ha ha, the permanent indicator is ours. Come up to me, the throne of One Piece is waving to us. No one can rob us, kill them, countless pirates compete and fight. The blue sea surface was soon dyed blood red. Such a scene instantly caused people to cheer and scream like crazy. In the crazy atmosphere, countless pirates became red-eyed. Certainly, there are also sober ones, for example, Buggy's gang. For now, because of the reputation of the three, no pirates have taken action against them. When Buggy saw this, he was naturally happy and relaxed. It would be best if we could directly grab the permanent indicator without fighting. As for Crocodile and Hawkeye, they don't bother to take action at the moment, just watching each opponent, especially Aokiji. The former Marine general didn't know why he came to join in the fun. Riding a bicycle among countless pirate ships, he looked unique. Like Buggy's group, the surrounding pirates also subconsciously avoided Aokiji. No wonder. Compared to Buggy's group, Aokiji may be a greater threat at sea. Even if Hawkeye can cut down ships, he may not be as good as this former Marine general who can freeze the sea with just a word of disagreement. If we provoke this person, the Pirate World Expo may not be able to proceed smoothly. So even the unruly pirate supernovas did not provoke Aokiji. Among them, Kid also controls the metal and smashes it away from Aokiji. What on earth is this guy doing here? Looking at Aokiji's figure, Buggy the Clown touched his chin and pondered. Crocodile was smoking a cigar and suddenly smiled arrogantly. Why are you thinking so much? Just go over and ask soon. That's right, huh? Buggy responded subconsciously, and then his expression changed drastically as he realized what he was doing. But it's too late. Shalan, Crocodile waved his hand toward the sea at the stern of the ship. A ball of sand flew out, suddenly expanded, and fell into the sea. The originally turbulent sea surface expanded instantly and formed a tornado. The terrible kinetic energy suddenly pushed the ship to Aokiji's location. Why? Buggy turned pale, and his men were frightened. On the other hand, Hawkeye next to him didn't change his expression when he saw this, he just looked at Aokiji with twinkling eyes. He was also curious about the purpose of the former Marine general. In this case, there is nothing wrong with testing it. In this way, the pirate ship quickly emerged from the crowd and came to the side of Aokiji. Looking at that leisurely figure, Buggy and his men all trembled. Especially Buggy, trembling all over, remembering the experience of the war on the top. This time in the top battle, Marine couldn't get anything good because of Yang Hao. But when the fight broke out, Buggy was still affected and was frozen by Aokiji. By the time he was rescued by his men, the war on top was over. Because of this, Buggy is more afraid of Aokiji than Yang Hao. His ability to disintegrate was simply defeated by the opponent. At this time, Aokiji naturally noticed the approach of the pirate ship. The bicycle under him paused slightly and looked over. Crocodile didn't give in. He stood on the bow of the ship and looked at Aokiji condescendingly. Kuzan, I heard that you left Marine and now you are here. Are you going to become a pirate? Upon hearing this, the surrounding area suddenly became silent. Buggy and the others held their breath, nervously waiting for the answer. The pirates nearby couldn't help but cast their gazes. In fact, they are also very curious about this issue. It's just that no one dared to ask questions before. Now that Crocodile is doing it for him, it's the best thing. Hearing this, Aokiji raised his eyebrows and pondered for a while before Kaido said, "Pirates, maybe." Hearing this, the faces of the surrounding pirates changed. Originally, the pirate world was already turbulent. It would not be a good thing for them if Aokiji also joins them. Seeing this familiar sign, everyone present took a breath. Seeing this, Daisuke asked again. These forces are Buggy's group, Aokiji, Kid, Luo and other supernovas. Are we late? Red hair? Yes, the pirate ship that suddenly appeared as the red-haired pirates? As time goes by, the competition becomes more and more intense. From Crocodile's perspective, although there were many pirates present, none could compete with them. He had a good friendship with Aokiji, but now, he found that he couldn't see through this old friend. Thinking of this, Smoker fell silent. Obviously everyone became marine for the sake of justice, but why? Now they are going further and further away from each other. But at this moment, Smoker suddenly shrank his pupils and looked in a certain direction. Almost at the same time, people in the entire venue were distracted and looked over there. If given the chance, they will destroy the permanent indicator to avoid the emergence of a new One Piece. A skull pirate flag with 3 scars printed on it flutters in the wind. Naturally, when they come here, it's not just a one-way surveillance. These two people were none other than Smoker, who was sent by Marine this time to monitor the Pirate World Expo, and his deputy Dusky. However, Smoker felt a little relieved when he thought about world government's approach. Several branches all merged together, causing the pirates to gather together and fight desperately. But now, there is one more Aokiji, which is interesting. There were 2 people, a man and a woman. The woman wore myopia glasses and a sword at her waist, while the man wore sunglasses and smoked 2 cigars. When Daisuke heard Aokiji's words, she suddenly asked Smoker sadly, "Major General Smoker, General Kuzan, have you really left Marine?" Upon hearing this question, Smoker did not answer, but looked gloomily and took several puffs of his cigar. Luffy wasn't there, and he didn't like the other pirate supernovas. "Major General Smoker, shouldn't it be time for us to take action?" As a senior member of Marine, Aokiji obviously knows the face of world government better than he does. Not to mention, for now, if Aokiji wants to compete with them for this permanent indicator, it will be a big trouble. In this direction, a majestic and huge pirate ship suddenly appeared. But at this time, there were 2 people in the audience, but they didn't think so. Buggy and others also realized this, their expressions changed again, and they even became a little frightened. This time, Smoker did not remain silent, but nodded and said, "Well, get ready." At this moment, the red-haired man was standing on the bow of the ship wearing a cape, looking at the lively venue and smiling. Crocodile, on the other hand, after being surprised, grinned. "Well, it seems that you are also here for the permanent target, which is quite interesting." Perhaps not being able to become Marine Fleet Admiral this time was the last straw that broke the camel's back and made Aokiji want to leave. In the end, several groups of people stood out and went to the island higher up to compete for the permanent indicator. Chapter 289 to be the strongest. Boom. With the arrival of the red-haired pirates, the entire venue fell silent, and then erupted into even more alarming noises. Red hair. The red-haired pirates, they're here too. This Pirate World Expo is really lively, now there's something good to watch. It seems that you are also here for Raftaru's permanent target. Everyone was talking and marveling. Smoker and Daisuke, who were mixed in the crowd, looked extremely ugly. Originally, with Aokiji, Hawkeye and others present, it would be difficult for them to do anything. Now with the addition of the red-haired pirates, I'm afraid they're completely reduced to soy sauce. The 4 emperors are gone, how could they still destroy the permanent indicator? At this time, the red-haired man stood on the bow of the boat and smiled. "Are we late?" Ben Beckman came to him, looked around, and said, "It shouldn't be over yet, let's go over." The pirate ship of the red-haired pirates headed straight for the entrance of the current ahead. There were still many pirates wherever they passed along the way, but when they saw the red-haired ship, they all retreated in fear. In this way, the red-haired pirate group swaggered through the current and headed to the final island. At this time, in the backstage of the venue, Buena Festa, the organizer of the Pirate World Expo, was standing in front of a burly man, describing the situation at the scene and the arrival of the red hair. "Shanks. That kid is here too." After hearing Buena Festa's narration, the burly man raised his eyebrows, revealing an unruly face. It is none other than Douglas Bullet, known as the Descendant of the Devil. He is the mastermind behind this Pirate Expo. The permanent index recording the coordinates of Raftaru was provided by him. At this time, Bullet couldn't help but twitching his lips when he heard the red-haired name. There is no doubt that this is an old acquaintance of his. After all, both of them were once Roger's crew members. Speaking of which, Bullet is a red-haired senior. After he joined the Roger Pirates, the red hair came on board. What I didn't expect was that the little ghost head who was an intern at that time would now grow to the level of 4 emperors. Interesting. The corner of Bullet's mouth rose, and he asked as if he suddenly remembered something. Where is Yang Hao? Is there any trace of him? Hearing this, Buenafesta shook his head, but then he asked doubtfully. Why, do you really want to lure that man here? If you can't deal with him by then, there will be no way to end it? As a warmonger, Buenafesta certainly hopes that the world will be as chaotic as possible, and this is why he cooperates with Bullet. But forget about red hair. If even Yang Hao, known as the most powerful emperor of the sea, was present, could Bullet really be able to handle it? Upon hearing this, Bullet's face suddenly darkened. If he didn't come, even if I defeated everyone, it would be meaningless. The purpose of Bullet is actually very simple, just weigh the current strength of pirates. He wanted to know, after so many years, if there was anyone in this sea who could rival Roger at his peak. If there is, nature is best. In this way, he can prove himself and finally surpass Roger. In short, he is here for the supreme and strongest title. And now, the person who is called the strongest in this sea is undoubtedly Yang Hao, who has risen recently. I heard that guy is only 20 years old. This age reminds Bullet of his original self. When he was in his teens or 20s, he reached astonishing heights. But at that time, he still could not be called the strongest. So he also wanted to know how strong Yang Hao was, who had achieved achievements that he could not achieve at the same age. To sum up, Bullet's ultimate goal is to use the Pirate World Expo to gather all the powerful pirates and catch them all in one fell swoop, so that these powerful people can become his stepping stones and establish the fact that he is the strongest. As a result, Bullet was not very satisfied with the initial lineup, even with the world's greatest swordsman like Hawkeye and a former marine general like Aokiji. Now that the red hair is here, he is reluctant, but the opponent he most wants to meet is of course the most powerful sea emperor even officially recognized, ape god, Yang Hao. After all, judging from the bounty alone, Yang Hao's bounty is higher than Roger's. At this point, it is estimated that the only thing that can attract Yang Hao is the throne of One Piece. This large humanoid bird is none other than Morgan's. Now as the redhead of 4 emperors, he is destined to become famous all over the world again after this battle. Where's Yang Hao? Didn't you say that the notification was in place? Why didn't he show up? Hey, Morgans, it's me. Speaking of which, the reason why this Pirate World Expo is so popular is not only Buenafesta's promotion, but also Morgan's contribution. But why didn't Yang Hao show up? One can imagine his excitement. Wrong. In order to attract Yang Hao to come, he also asked Morgans to help spread the word. Hearing this, Morgans said with some regret, I don't know. I obviously told him in advance, but he didn't come, and there's nothing I can do about it. Bullet asked in a serious tone, Douglas Bullet, what's wrong? With a murmur, Bullet started to move. Bullet naturally knew this, so he asked Morgans a few questions, said no more, and ended the call. Without his publicity, there wouldn't be so many pirates present. When the time comes, it won't be too late to defeat Yang Hao. In the corner of the field, a large human-like bird suddenly sounded like a phone bug. This is something that puzzles Bullet. So Morgans also knew about the existence of Douglas Bullet. At this time, Morgans was extremely excited and took pictures of everyone in the red-haired pirate group. In fact, it doesn't matter if Yang Hao doesn't come. Hearing the voice on the other side of the phone, Morgan's face suddenly changed. Forget it, if you don't come, don't come. These guys are qualified enough for me to take action. After thinking for a while, Bullet made a call. In this regard, Morgans is actually more anxious than Bullet. The arrival of the red-haired pirates naturally made big news. This Pirate Expo is destined to attract worldwide attention. With this idea in mind, Bullet appeared on the final island. You know, Yang Hao's achievements now have actually surpassed Whitebeard, second only to Roger, the One Piece. In other words, Yang Hao's achievements are already comparable to Roger's. Could it be that he is not interested in the One Piece throne? After all, if Yang Hao comes, the big news will definitely turn into big news again. But now it seems that Yang Hao has not appeared yet, and there is a high chance that he will not come next. Immediately, Bullet looked at the final island again, with a cold light flashing in his eyes. Chapter 290. The fight over the permanent indicator, Bullet takes action. At this moment, final island, the battle is going on. As Luo took the lead in finding the permanent indicator, a terrifying and fierce battle began in an instant. Trafalgar Law. Hand over your stuff. Kid, who is also a pirate supernova, takes the lead in attacking. Following his roar, a large number of metal weapons swept towards Luo like a torrent of steel. Room. Slaughterhouse. Luo's figure flashed and moved away immediately. During the teleportation, a huge straw monster suddenly appeared and reached out to slap Luo. Luo's eyes narrowed, but he continued to flicker away. One by one, the pirate supernovas attacked Luo one after another. Joel Bonnie, Kira, but these were all avoided by Luo Yi. In this way, Luo quickly avoided most people and joined his men. Captain Luo, Babo and others turned pale as they looked at the supernovas chasing after them. Luo also knew that the situation was serious and his face was solemn. Don't move. As soon as he had a round with Babo and others, he reminded them in a deep voice. Then under Luo's control, he, Bibo and others began to flash rapidly in the direction of the ship. Luo planned to take Bibo and others back to the ship and leave in the same way. Although this consumes a lot of money, it is naturally better than starting a fierce battle with everyone. But it will obviously not be easy for Luo to realize this idea. At this moment, Kid finished charging his ultimate move and suddenly roared. Magnet, the great demonic bull. Countless metals formed a giant mechanical bull, which crashed into Luo's pirate ship like a hill. Yes. Kid obviously saw Luo's thoughts and took the first step to destroy Luo's ship. Seeing this scene, Luo's pupils suddenly shrank. No longer caring about Bibo and the others, he took the lead in front of the pirate ship with a flash of his eye. Facing the giant metal bull that hit him head-on, he took a deep breath and opened the surgery space again. Room. The translucent space suddenly expanded, covering the giant metal bull. Almost at the same time, Luo pulled out the ghost-crying saber, stood on the spot, and slashed suddenly. A brush sound. A magical scene appeared. Luo's saber clearly did not hit the metal giant bull, but it hit the opponent as if it had crossed the spatial distance. Ever since, the giant metal bull's charge suddenly shook, and then its huge body split into two. Finally, it completely lost kinetic energy and fell to the ground. Bang bang bang. In midair, it was like metal rain fell. However, Luo, who deployed the giant metal bull and protected the pirate ship, was not happy. He turned around and saw that Bibo and others were surrounded by Kira and others. The most ominous thing is that from the right direction, a figure comes slowly. On the ground where he passed, ice crystal footprints spread out as the cold air spread. If not Aokiji, who else? At this moment, not only Kid and others came to attack, but even Aokiji came. Luo's heart suddenly sank. If only he was the only one. Even when facing General Marine, he still had some confidence to escape. But if Bibo and others and the pirate ship were included, it would be impossible for him to escape safely. What to do? There was a touch of cold sweat on Luo's forehead. After thinking about it, Luo quickly made a decision. Hey, Master Kid, Luo suddenly called out. Kid, who was about to continue the attack, was startled. Before he could say anything, Luo's laughter came. If you want this, I'll give it to you. At the same time, there was also the permanent indicator that Luo had just found. What? Kid was stunned for a moment, but that didn't stop him from reaching out and catching the permanent indicator. The final island of Ravdru. Looking at the permanent indicator in his hand, Kid's eyes showed a burning look. But the next second, his expression changed again, all because Kira's voice suddenly sounded. Kid, be careful, Ice Thorn Spear. An ice spear shot through the air. Just when Kankan hit Kid, he finally reacted. Kid felt a chill in his heart and did not dare to neglect. He quickly waved his hand and formed a huge metal shield in front of him. The metals are closely connected to form an extremely thick barrier to intercept the ice spear. With a clang, the ice spear was blocked, but at this moment, the surface of the metal shield began to freeze. Kaka. In the blink of an eye, the metal shield turned into an ice shield, and the freezing phenomenon continued to spread. Kid was startled and jumped back. Then he looked at the ice spear launcher with a solemn expression. It's Aokiji. Aokiji's purpose is obviously a permanent target. Now that Luo has given the permanent target to Kid, he naturally takes advantage of the situation and throws his attack at Kid. Damn B**************** D. At this time, Kid naturally understood the meaning of Luo's actions just now. This is diverting trouble from the east. Kid turned his head and glared at Luo fiercely, but he was reluctant to throw away the permanent indicator on his hand. Luo's goal was obviously achieved. After seeing the permanent indicator fall into Luo's hands, Chow Elibani and others were too lazy to attack Bibo and others, and all moved closer. Kid, hand over the permanent indicator. This thing is destined to me. Joel Bonnie and others are coming in force. Luo took the opportunity to have a round with Bibo and others. Captain, are you just giving up the permanent indicator? After Bibo and others met Luo, they all breathed a sigh of relief, but then felt a little unwilling. Luo turned his head and looked at the permanent indicator, his eyes deep. He threw out the permanent indicator, indeed intending to divert trouble to the east. But this does not mean that he is willing to give up this permanent indicator that records the coordinates of the final island, Ravdru. Luo still didn't give up. And this is also the reason why he deliberately threw the permanent indicator to Kid. You know, if you leave it to Aokiji, maybe Aokiji will just suppress the supernovas and walk away. But Kid is different. He has certain strength. Even if he faces Admiral Marine, he won't lose so quickly. Plus Joel Bonnie et al. Maybe they can hold their own against Aokiji. In this way, at the end of the fight, maybe he can fish in troubled waters and get the permanent indicator. What happened next was not beyond Luo's expectation. After Kid got the permanent quota, he started fighting with Aokiji. As for Chow Elibani and others, they also joined the battle group. Although they are also fighting for the permanent target, they are also besieging Aokiji intentionally or unintentionally. It seems that they also know very well. Even if it is strong enough to become a permanent indicator from Kid, it is not that easy to get. It would be much easier if Aokiji could be defeated before that. However, it is also very difficult to defeat Aokiji. Although Aokiji is now disabled, his combat power has not been damaged at all. Not to mention hitting a supernova, but Kid and others joined forces, but they were no match for him and were at a disadvantage. Seeing this, Luo was naturally ready to help. He couldn't really sit back and watch Aokiji defeat Kid and others. In that case, he would completely lose hope of obtaining a permanent indicator. But next, just when Luo was about to join the battle group, a figure broke into the battle group one step ahead of him. Boom. Like a tank colliding, Kid was suddenly knocked out, and the permanent indicator in his hand flew away, before being caught firmly by a big, thick hand. Everyone looked at it and were stunned. The person who suddenly joined the battle group and snatched away the permanent indicator was a giant man with long blonde hair, a red face, and an unruly face. Douglas Bullet. This, descendant of the devil, finally takes action. Chapter 291 The Terror of Bullet, Aokiji blocks the way. Bullet. Rush into the battlefield. Aokiji, who was attacking here, was startled, and his eyes became suspicious. Naturally, the supernovas didn't know Bullet. Seeing the permanent indicator fall into his hands, they subconsciously rushed towards it. Kid, who was knocked away, turned around and stabilized, with an angry look on his face. Who are you? Give the permanent indicator back. After the words fell, Kid's eyes widened, and a terrifying power bloomed in his body. Boom. Dark red lightning burst out and spread toward Bullet. It's Conqueror's dominance. Bullet sensed this, but he curled up the corner of his mouth with a hint of ridicule. Pung. Without even seeing how he moved, a dark black thunder suddenly spread out. Like a hurricane passing by, the surrounding ground was turbulent. This is also Conqueror's dominance. It's just that Bullet's Conqueror's domineering spirit is obviously much stronger than Kid's, and it's so powerful that it's earth-shattering. Then, as expected, the two Conqueror's domineering forces collided. After only a few seconds of stalemate, Bullet's Conqueror's Haki suddenly suppressed Kid's Conqueror's Haki and turned into a storm. Boom. The surrounding supernovas were enveloped by Bullet's Conqueror's domineering energy. Although they were not unconscious, they were still shaken. If they encountered an evil spirit, they would feel horrified and frightened in their hearts. With such powerful Conqueror's Haki, who is this person? The devil's descendant, Douglas Bullet. At this time, Aokiji also felt Bullet's terrifying Conqueror's dominance, and his originally indifferent face became serious. He never expected that Bullet, who escaped from Impel Down City, would actually come here to cause trouble. Speaking of which, although there are many people running away from the eternal hell on the 6th floor of Impel Down City, there are only a handful of people who are truly a threat. Douglas Bullet is one of them. Thinking of this, even Aokiji felt a little tricky. At this time, Bullet stood in the middle of the field, looking down on the crowd. Looking at the frightened Buggy and others around him, he grinned. Haha, you are the latest pirate supernova, come on, come together, let me see what you are capable of. Upon hearing this, Kid was the first to refuse to accept it. He immediately gathered a giant mechanical hand and smashed it with a fist. Hee hee. Bullet chuckled and walked away. At the moment when the giant mechanical punch came, he also raised a fist as big as a clay pot and punched it out violently. This is an ordinary fist, nothing fancy, not even the armed domineering forces used. But at the moment of contact, an astonishing scene appeared. There was a loud bang, and the obviously larger metal mechanical fist exploded. The metal machinery that filled the sky suddenly flew out under the terrifying force, sweeping towards Kid like a torrent. What? Kid was shocked and subconsciously activated his abilities to try to stabilize the metals. But this time, the magnetic ability that had always been invincible in the past seemed to have failed, and it was impossible to control those metals. Kid's eyes widened suddenly, and then his whole body was instantly submerged by the torrent of metal. Kid. Hiro rushed forward, quickly cut open the metal, and launched rescue. At the same time, the pirate supernovas have already attacked Bullet. While Bullet and Kid were fighting, Hai Ming, Apu's hands directly turned into musical instruments, making weird music. This is exactly his sound fruit ability. Ever since, when Kid was submerged by the torrent, Apu's attack also fell on Bullet. Fry. Bang. A ball of fireworks exploded from Bullet's body without any warning. It was like a warship cannon exploding. Hit. When Apu saw this, he immediately smiled. But the next second, the smile on his face suddenly solidified again. I saw the gunpowder smoke dissipating, and Bullet's strong body suddenly stood there. His face was stern, but he was unharmed. What kind of trick is this? Bullet patted the smoke on his chest, murmured, and suddenly disappeared. With a bang, the ground exploded, and his whole body turned into an afterimage and flew towards Apu. Upton's face suddenly changed drastically. Cut. As the instruments on his body changed, the music also changed. An invisible slash suddenly broke out and struck towards Bullet. However, after Bullet raised his eyebrows, he easily swung his body to avoid it. When he came to Apu, he still punched without any fancy. With a bang, Apu rolled his eyes and flew backwards. In an instant, he crashed into several big trees and was submerged in smoke and dust. Then Bullet stood still, but at this moment, a huge shadow enveloped his figure. The giant straw hand took the shot, but was easily blocked by Bullet. as if confirming Hawkins' divination. Hawkins was daunted. Then there's the regrouped Kid and Kira. The famous pirate supernovas were all defeated by Bullet. For a moment, Hawkins was too scared to step forward. After thinking about it, he immediately made a divination. Not only that, Bullet raised his wrist and shook the giant straw hand away. Hawkins, the spellcaster, was stunned. The straw monster stretched out his big hand and slapped him hard. Both the weird monk and Bonnie were all beaten away by Bullet without exception. After Bullet was about to blow away all the supernovas, he was about to kill them all in one go. It's none other than Aokiji. The former is a person with causal ability, but he couldn't withstand Bullet's heavy hammer, and his causality collapsed. However, this situation took a turn for the better at the next moment. How terrible. The chance of us defeating this man is actually 0.01%. As a result, he was dumbfounded again when he saw the results of the divination. As for Bonnie, her ability is mysterious, but Bullet didn't give her a chance to use it and beat her away. And next, Bullet paused and looked at Aokiji, a smile gradually spreading on his unruly face. Bullet didn't dodge, he just crossed his fists and struck in front of him. Immediately afterwards, Bullet rushed forward and rushed directly in front of the straw giant. In short, they simply cannot defeat this man. As for Luo, who wanted to fish in troubled waters, his face looked extremely ugly at this time. And after the whole battle, Bullet seemed to have no use for his armed color and hockey. The two men joined forces and only went through a dozen rounds in Bullet's hands before they were defeated one after another. This is his ultimate move, but it is so vulnerable in front of this man. Aokiji looked at Bullet and asked, "Excuse me, can you give me that permanent indicator?" In this situation, it seems like he has no chance even if he takes action. Ah la la, you are indeed a descendant of the devil. After being imprisoned for so many years, it seems that you have become stronger. Bullet looked up and saw a huge straw monster. But at this moment, a figure, breathing out freezing air, slowly stepped forward. Straw shavings flew across the sky. Two palms with red panels grabbed it, and with a low cry, they used force and tore the straw giant apart. Bang! Chapter 292 Red Hair appears, Bullet's true power. Seeing Aokiji, a smile appeared on Bullet's unruly face. You are Aokiji. After escaping from Impel Down City, he also understood the current world situation. Especially those top strong ones. Among them, naturally includes Aokiji, the former Marine General. Although Aokiji is no longer Marine General now, and it seems that he has a broken leg, Bullet still will not take it lightly. But precisely because of this, he became a little excited. Those pirate supernovas really can't stand a beating. I didn't expect you to be interested in this thing. If you want it, come and get it. Bullet took out the permanent indicator, tossed it, and smiled at Aokiji. Aokiji didn't say anything, but his feet suddenly felt obviously cold. At this moment, an amazing scene appeared. Centered at Aokiji's feet, a light blue color suddenly spread. Kaka. The ground began to freeze over a large area, spreading towards Bullet. At this moment, it was like an abyss blue beast opening its bloody mouth towards Bullet. Seeing this, the supernovas suddenly became energetic. Especially Luo. Hope filled my heart again. Then, under the gaze of the supernovas, Bullet's feet suddenly froze. Then the calves, thighs, and body. In the blink of an eye, Bullet transformed into a lifelike ice sculpture. However, the permanent indicator on his hand was still intact. At this moment, Aokiji stepped forward and took away the permanent indicator. Seeing Aokiji win the permanent indicator so easily and casually, Luo, Kid and others were a little stunned. But in the next second, a sudden change occurred. Click, click. The ice crystals on Bullet's body suddenly showed signs of fragmentation, and then exploded. Boom. The next moment, the ice crystals burst, and a fist as big as a clay pot suddenly hit Aokiji. Aokiji reacted quickly and froze his arms in the blink of an eye, planning to resist. But at this moment, Bullet turned his fist into a palm and grabbed it fiercely. The permanent indicator in Aokiji's hand was suddenly taken away. Not only that, almost at the same time, Bullet swung his scorpion tail and knocked Aokiji away with a bang. In this round of confrontation, Bullet obviously has the upper hand. Aokiji squeezed his numb arm and stared hard. As expected, you are not that easy to deal with. Each other. Bullet smiled. The two looked at each other, and then rushed towards each other in unison. Boom, boom, boom. Against Bullet, Aokiji no longer used those fancy moves, but relied on a pair of ice fists to fight with the hammer. As for Bullet, he was no longer as arrogant as he was against the pirate supernova just now, and seemed to have used his unparalleled armed color hockey. The terrifying roar spread throughout the island instantly. The two fought fiercely, the frost exploded and the earth shattered. The terrifying momentum immediately shocked Luo, Kid and others. Now it seems that Bullet was showing mercy just now. With their current intensity and power, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to withstand even one punch. As for Aokiji, he is indeed the most powerful marine. At this time, he and Bullet fought hard with bare hands, but he didn't lose. Of course, that's all. Aokiji's strength, armament, color and hockey are very strong. The freezing ability is even more abnormal. But now, against Bullet, it seems to be slightly inferior. Although he is not inferior, his freezing ability can no longer take effect on Bullet. The unparalleled armed domineering force completely suppressed the freezing effect. Ever since, after a stalemate for a while, Aokiji also felt that it was very difficult. With his ability, he can easily deal with people who are not as strong as himself, and he can even kill them instantly. But it is a bit difficult to match up with people of similar strength. Thinking of this, Aokiji couldn't help but frown. But then, before he could think of a way to break the deadlock, an accident happened again. A magnificent and huge pirate ship suddenly appeared on the island. Even across a long distance, an astonishing conqueror's domineering energy was transmitted through the air. Conqueror's hockey again. This conqueror's dominance seems to be stronger than Bullet. Oh my god, who is this strong man here again? The supernovas were all shocked. Kid's face darkened. Luo's face also turned ugly. Seeing the stalemate between Aokiji and Bullet, he planned to take action. But the sudden appearance of Conqueror's domineering force made him temporarily suppress his thoughts. Judging from this Conqueror's domineering attitude, it is obvious that he is a top powerhouse. Originally, the successive appearances of Bullet and Aokiji had made his hope of obtaining a permanent indicator extremely slim. Now with the addition of a top powerhouse, the situation can be imagined. And at the same time, Bullet and Aokiji naturally felt the Conqueror's domination coming from there. Aokiji raised his eyebrows, and Bullet curled his lips. Are you here? Of course he knew who this Conqueror's domineering power came from. However, when he felt that the opponent's Conqueror's domineering intensity was much stronger than his own, he couldn't help but flash his eyes. It seems that after so many years, that little trainee has really grown into a real big shot. Thinking of this, Bullet smiled even more. Because of this, isn't it more interesting? Hey, it's very lively here. Soon, a group of pirates with extraordinary momentum also came to the battlefield. The leader, a red-haired man who was full of dominance, looked around and said with a smile. There is no doubt that it is the redhead. There are also many pirates left in the arena below. But these pirates were naturally no match for the red-haired pirates, so the red-haired pirates successfully entered the final island. At this time, the red-haired man looked around and then fixed his gaze on the smiling Bullet. Bullet, you are here too. It's been a long time since I last saw you. On the red-haired face, there was a smile as if meeting a friend. At this time, Bullet was not as aggressive as he was against Aokiji, Kid and others just now, but was more emotional. Shanks, you have grown up, and you look a bit like Captain Roger. Hearing this, the red-haired face smiled even more. But after a few words of reminiscing about old times, the two quickly got down to business. Shanks, are you here for this permanent indicator too? Taking out the permanent indicator, Bullet asked with a faint look. The red-haired man admitted directly. Yes, Bullet, can you give it to me? Hearing this, Bullet laughed again. It seems that you are planning to go there just like Captain Roger. But he also asked your question just now. Having said this, Bullet suddenly pointed at Aokiji, and then said, my answer to him is the same as to you. If you want it, come and get it. Hearing this, the red-haired man couldn't help but be startled. At this time, Bullet laughed and looked at Kid, Luo and others. Ha 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 ha, by the way, you guys can all come together. Since everyone is here now, it's time for me to show off my true power. As soon as the words fell, a terrifying scene appeared. Chapter 293 The huge combined monster, Yong Hao finally appears. As Bullet finished speaking, a terrifying scene appeared. A specially made pirate ship appeared on the final island and flew towards Bullet. Click click click. After a huge combination sound, Bullet suddenly formed a combined giant tens of meters tall. What? Kid's eyes widened. Bullet's combined ability combination shocked him greatly. But that's not all. As Bullet roared, the entire final island shook. Immediately afterwards, an even more shocking situation occurred. A large amount of matter converges towards the Bullet. In the blink of an eye, Bullet's already tall body expanded further. 100 meters, 300 meters, 500 meters. In the blink of an eye, Bullet turned into a 1,000-meter-high monster with the head of a wolf and the body of a human body. It looked extremely oozing, like a devil. This is. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. Luo, Bonnie, the strange monk and others were all stunned. Aokiji, the red-haired man and others also had serious expressions. Bullet's move is really amazing. At this moment, even Buggy's group who had just arrived were startled. Because they ran far away, they never had time to participate in the battle just now. But what they never expected was that when they noticed the movement and rushed over, the scene would turn out to be so intense. Not only did the red-haired pirates appear, but Bullet also used his ultimate move and turned into a super giant monster that was almost one-third of the size of the island. How to play in such a battle situation? For a moment, except for the leader Buggy, Hawkeye and Crocodile, the rest of the men retreated. At this time, Bullet, who was attracting the attention of thousands of people, looked at his huge body after being combined, but felt a little regretful. Marine didn't send a fleet here. Otherwise, it could have become bigger and stronger. But it doesn't matter. Muttering secretly, Bullet looked at the people below and laughed. Ha ha ha, Shanks, let's have a fight and let me see how far you have grown over the years. After finishing his words, Bullet first attacked the red-haired pirates. The ultimate cannon. Along with the roaring sound, Bullet's dark brown body suddenly took on a dark color. Then the huge left arm, with astonishing fluctuations, hit the red-haired people like a mountain. Hiss. Why don't you be so exaggerated? What an amazing armed color. At this moment, the faces of everyone in the red-haired pirate group also changed drastically. After the transformation, Bullet's size is astonishing, and even the amount of armed domineering is extremely frightening. Such a large volume can cover the entire body, which is simply unheard of. Boom. The next moment, a loud explosion spread across the entire island. What followed was violent shaking that affected the entire island. Rumble. All the supernovas showed a look of horror. Even Kid, who has always been unruly, is no exception. Only then did they understand how big the gap in strength between themselves and Bullet was. When Bullet was fighting them just now, he wasn't serious at all. Otherwise, such a blow could wipe out their entire army. Luo felt the intensity of the attack, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Facing such an opponent, does he really have a chance to make a mistake? As for Buggy and others, they were staring in the direction of the red-haired pirates, wanting to know what was going on. Huge plumes of smoke rose and dispersed. As Bullet retracted its giant arm, the situation at the scene gradually became clearer. Then everyone gasped. Obviously, facing such a blow from Bullet, even the red-haired pirates would not dare to take it hard. So at this time, Hongfa and others were scattered in various places. There were no injuries on their bodies, but in the middle of them, a pit like a cave in the sky suddenly appeared. One can imagine the power of Bullet's blow. At this time, the red-haired people also had solemn expressions. The red-haired leader no longer smiled at all, but reminded with a stern look on his face. This guy is not an ordinary person, so I must brace myself to deal with it. As soon as he finished speaking, the red-haired man jumped on his feet and quickly jumped towards Bullet. At the same time, Ben Beckman, Jesus Bu and others also made moves. Shelling, armed bullets, and some remote attack methods were the first to attack Bullet. With the size of Bullet, there is no room for escape. As a result, everyone's attacks hit Bullet without exception. But those powerful attacks landed on Bullet's huge body, only causing a little bit of damage that was not worth mentioning. Seeing this situation, the red-haired face became more solemn, but he didn't say anything and continued to rush towards Bullet. Soon, the red-haired man came to Bullet and slashed with his sword. God, avoid. Faced with such a bullet, the red-haired man did not dare to neglect, and used his ultimate move in his first move. Captain. The monster transformed by Bullet roared angrily, and the wounds on its body were repaired instantly. As expected of Marine General, this is almost the same as freezing an island instantly, right? Bang. The red-haired man's expression changed, and he was about to fight with a knife. The giant fist that was about to fall suddenly froze, unable to move. The leader was a handsome black-haired young man with a naked upper body and a shocking aura. Immediately afterwards, the terrifying slashes merged into the body surface of the lion and heron, and then the sharp energy burst out from the whole body, and it rushed forward with a sudden increase in speed. In an instant, the terrifying conqueror's domineering energy swept out, and in a trance, it transformed into a towering lion and heron, shooting towards Bullet. But at this moment, a strange scene occurred. Starting from Bullet's feet, light blue ice crystals spread suddenly in an instant. Even the redhead couldn't help but stare. In just an instant, Bullet's huge body, which was comparable to 1/3 of the island, turned into a super giant ice sculpture. Hey, why did you leave me alone? Shanks, your strength is pretty good, but it's not as good as mine. Different from the attacks of Ben Beckman and others, the red-haired divine evasive slash struck a terrifying mark on Bullet's giant body. An almost insignificant figure appeared at Bullet's feet. If not Aokiji, who else? At the critical moment, Aokiji froze Bullet again. Seeing this situation, everyone was suddenly stunned again. As the words fell, a shocking scene appeared again. Bullet's roaring voice sounded. At the same time. Seeing this situation, Kid and others were stunned. Kid, Luo and others were shocked when they saw this. Ice, Age, Jesus Bu and others were shocked. But at this moment, a calm voice slowly sounded. Even such a giant monster can be severely damaged in an instant. Secret Channel 4 Emperors certainly lives up to its reputation. Amidst the shocking loud noise, Bullet's huge body was obviously missing a piece, and even his body staggered. Far away on the sea, a group of people were also amazed. Exactly, Yang Hao. As soon as he finished speaking, a giant fist hit the red hair. Chapter 294 Excited Buggy, calm Yang Hao. At this moment, Yang Hao, who is famous all over the world as the most powerful Sea Emperor, suddenly appeared at the One Piece Expo. In addition, he also brought many strong men with him. Katakuri, Shiryu of Rain, Marco, Ace, etc. In addition, there is Doflamingo, Moonlight Moria. In general, in the Beast Pirates, except for Jin, Quinn and others who were originally from the Beast Pirates, the rest of the strong men are basically here. With so many strong men gathered here, Yang Hao naturally had big plans. He first glanced at the final island frozen by Aokiji, and then his eyes fell on the primary island below. At this time, this primary island was still overcrowded. The pirates who were unable to enter the finals began to trade on the island, or perform dark sacrifices. After glancing around, Yang Hao raised the corners of his mouth and said to his subordinates, "Young men, get started, I'll leave this place to you." After the words fell, another Doflamingo emerged from the crowd. This is exactly his parasitic line clone. Following Doflamingo's thought, a thick thread of silk suddenly spurted out from the clone's head. It's the birdcage. Shiryu of Rain appeared with a bloodthirsty look on his face. Moonlight Mariah followed with a pair of shears. "Hey, Shiryu, don't kill me." When Yang Hao saw this, he immediately warned him, and then said to Marco uneasily, "Marco, please watch carefully. The pirates here are related to his future big moves. Learn." Marco nodded indifferently, then turned into a blue flame bird, fluttered its wings and flew out. The rest of Ace and others also started to take action and pounced on the pirates present. As for Katakuri, Bree, who had already protected the mirror fruit, came to the island. When Yang Hao saw this, he felt relieved, and his figure soared into the sky, heading towards the final island. The wind howled. Under the influence of Wukong Shu, Yang Hao flew into the final island in less than an hour and 3 seconds. At this moment, the entire final island is still covered with thousands of miles of ice, a glacier. However, in the center, several terrifying forces burst out and collided. Even from a long distance, Yang Hao could feel it clearly. It's very intense. Yang Hao chuckled, and his figure turned into a stream of light and flew away again. And the center of the glacier at this time, Pirates Supernova has been completely reduced to a foil. In fact, they have lost the qualification to participate in the war and can only look at the central battlefield in shock. However, Buggy and his gang also started to join the war. Crocodile and Hawkeye, for the sake of permanent indicators, also started to take action against Bullet. And Aokiji. With the cooperation of the three people, Bullet's huge body was continuously reduced and almost restored to its true form. As for the red hair and others, they were originally the new force to deal with Bullet. But this situation changed as Buggy and his gang joined the war. A large number of men who were originally prisoners of Impel City killed Jesus Bu and others. As for Buggy, he faced the redhead himself. The ability to fall apart has been activated. With the Buggy bombs, the Buggy's combat power is not too weak at this time. At least the red hair was forced back by him. Of course, the main reason is because the red hair keeps avoiding him. "Hey, Buggy, that's enough, I have other things to do." The red hair once again avoided Buggy's dagger and said helplessly. It's not that he doesn't have the ability to deal with Buggy, it's just that he doesn't really want to do anything to his old friend. Buggy's mood was extremely excited. "Shanks, what you're talking about is the fight for the permanent indicator that records Loftru. Why, are you really planning to go to the final island and become One Piece?" After hearing Buggy's words, the red-haired face straightened. "That's right." Buggy was startled, then laughed. "Ha ha ha ha." Smiling and laughing, tears came out. "Shanks, you be asterisk 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 D." Buggy burst into tears and complained loudly. "I asked you back then if you wanted to inherit the captain's will and become the new One Piece. What did you tell me then? You clearly said you didn't want to be One Piece at the time, but now, are you going to go back on your word?" "Ha ha ha ha. Okay, it's really good. I won't let you get what you want." Having said this, Buggy turned to look at his men. After seeing his men defeated by Ben Beckman, Jesus Bu and others, his face suddenly turned red and he roared loudly. "Hey, what are you doing? Why did you become pirates? Don't you all have dreams? The key to the final island is right in front of you. Are you willing to fall like this? So what if the opponent is the Four Emperors group? So what if the opponent is Red Hair? Get up and defeat them. When I become One Piece, you will be the crew of One Piece. Our names are destined to be remembered by the world forever." Amidst Buggy's roar, the eyes of the pirates suddenly lit up. Such words are simply countless times more powerful than the effect of the encouraged fruit. The pirates who originally respected Buggy very much suddenly burst into excitement. For a time, Ben Beckman, Jesus Bu and others were in a stalemate. As for the red hair, he fell into silence, seemingly out of his mind, and was directly blown away by one of Buggy's bombs. "Oh my god, the captain knocked off the red hair. It's so awesome, we can't hold the captain back. Captain Buggy, we will follow you to the death. Become One Piece and grant us endless glory." Buggy's enthusiasm was aroused, and he decided to join the battle group of Aokiji, Hawkeye and others without even looking at the red hair. But the next second, Buggy suddenly froze on the spot again, feeling cold all over. All because at this moment, a figure descended from the sky and landed not far from him. A young and handsome face, Akira's strong upper body, and a breathtaking aura. Yang Hao. Buggy trembled and called out Yang Hao's name. Facing the red-haired man, he could fight head-on, but facing the Emperor of the Sea like Yang Hao, who he had never been in contact with before, he only felt fear in his heart. The enthusiasm just now was poured with cold water in an instant. Buggy's men seemed to have their throats strangled, and their cheers stopped. At the same time, the supernovas also looked sideways and subconsciously focused their attention on Yang Hao. There are also Aokiji, Hawkeye, Crocodile, Bullet and others. The moment Yang Hao arrived, they almost tacitly stopped and turned to look. Ben Beckman and others all had expressions of concentration on their faces. Even the red-haired man who was blown away and fell to the ground shrank his pupils. Yang Hao. At this moment, Yang Hao appeared calmly, but it was like a thunder explosion, shocking the entire audience. Chapter 295 God avoids me but never avoids me. Yang Hao. At this moment, Bullet, who had recovered his true form, suddenly became eager. I originally thought that Yang Hao would not come, but I didn't expect that he would come too. Very good. Bullet smiled. At this moment, he didn't see any movement, and a terrifying momentum suddenly burst out. Dark black lightning splashed and raged. Aokiji, Hawkeye, and Crocodile were all shocked. But soon, a hurricane-like momentum passed over them and headed straight towards Yang Hao. Yang Hao raised his eyebrows, and suddenly bursts of red thunder erupted all over his body. Boom. The two conquerors' domineering energies collided with a loud bang. The clouds and mist in the sky were also affected and separated from both sides. Seeing such a scene of splitting the sky, the supernovas were stunned and stunned. As the possessor of the strongest conqueror's domination, the red-haired man couldn't help but darken his face when he saw this. He was also a little shocked in his heart. Especially for Yang Hao. In fact, he was not surprised by Bullet's conqueror's domineering intensity. After all, Bullet had conqueror's haki in the past, and conqueror's haki was not weak. Now that so many years have passed, it is normal for conqueror's haki to become so strong. The problem is Yang Hao. During the war, Hongfa also met Yang Hao and even drank with him afterwards. At that time, Yang Hao obviously didn't have such strong conqueror's domineering power. But now, it can actually compete with Bullet. This growth rate is really amazing. At this time, Yang Hao was not surprised. Conqueror's domineering spirit comes from a person's courage. When the spirit reaches a certain level, it will awaken. As for conqueror's haki, in addition to becoming stronger through practice, it also has a lot to do with a person's will and status. Needless to say about his will. In terms of status, he has recently become famous all over the world, which is of course of great benefit to conqueror's domination. So at this moment, even against the descendant of the devil, his conqueror's domineering power is not lost at all. Then there was a loud bang, and Bullet's conqueror's haki collapsed at the same time. The hurricane surges. The next second, Yang Hao and Bullet moved at the same time. The two burst into each other. At this moment, Yang Hao's figure expanded and turned into a hairy ape. Two figures approached. Without another word, two black fists as big as clay pots began to fight each other fiercely. Bang, bang, bang. Yang Hao's fist hit Bullet's waist and abdomen. Bullet's fist hit Yang Hao's chest brazenly. Powerful armed colors, bursting out of conquerors. Seemingly disdainful of the use of knowledge, the two directly confronted each other head-on. There was a loud noise and lightning roared. In the blink of an eye, the two exchanged dozens of punches. The surrounding ground exploded, and smoke and dust surged. Soon, there was another blast, and the two figures retreated with a bang. Haha, he is indeed the opponent I have chosen. His fists are really powerful. Bullet rubbed his waist and abdomen, looked at Yang Hao and smiled. Yang Hao wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and smiled as well. Is this the only strength you have? As soon as the words fell, a shocking scene appeared. Yang Hao's originally 3-meter-tall ape body suddenly swelled. 5 meters, 10 meters, 15 meters. In the blink of an eye, he transformed into a 15-meter-tall giant ape. With a loud bang, his whole body was crushing towards Bullet like a hill. What? Bullet was startled and quickly crossed his arms in front of him. The powerful armed color and domineering entanglement instantly turned his hands into indestructible arm shields. Ape God Gun. But the next second, with a roar, Bullet was suddenly blasted away by a giant fist. Whoosh. Bullet flew out upside down, and something flew out. It is a permanent indicator. The giant ape caught it and looked at everyone present with a ferocious face. Red hair, Aokiji, Hawkeye, Crocodile, Buggy, Kid, Luo. Hey, you are all here for the permanent quota. In that case, let's go together. The permanent indicator is here with me, either beat me to death or be beaten to death by me. Kid, Luo and others suddenly looked ugly. Facing Bullet, they dared to lay siege. But facing Yang Hao, who is currently in the limelight, they are a little afraid to move forward. Even Kid is no exception to this. Although he is stubborn, he is not an idiot. In the current situation, let alone dealing with Yang Hao, it is very difficult to deal with Bullet, Aokiji and others. Now if you have to take action under pressure, you are simply sending yourself to death. As for Buggy, Hawkeye, Crocodile and others, they did not move. The same goes for Aokiji, who just stared at Yang Hao silently, his eyes flickering, and he didn't know what he was thinking. But the next second, someone moved. Amidst the slow footsteps, a figure wearing a black cloak, holding a sword, walked with the terrifying pressure of countless Yang Hao. It's none other than the redhead. When Yang Hao saw this, a ferocious smile suddenly appeared on his face. Red hair. Captain. Jesus Bu and others were startled and wanted to do something, but were blocked by Ben Bacon. The red-haired man continued to walk towards Yang Hao, with a smile on his face. Boom. The giant ape was covered in blood, but still stood there, looking up and laughing. Ha 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 ha, even if God avoids me. He also received a divine evasion just now. Immediately afterwards, dark red lightning suddenly formed a huge lion heron, and along with the red hair, he used the famous sword griffin to burst out. All avoid it. The energy surges, the terrifying energy tide plows the ground 3 feet. Well done. After some wreaking havoc, it finally disappeared. Even Hawkeye is no exception. Looks like we can't sit down and drink for the time being. As soon as the god escapes, all the ghosts and gods will be frightened. The dark red lightning swept out along with the sound waves, causing the huge lion and heron to shudder. There is also this permanent indicator, which I am bound to win. But that was under the condition of being combined. If it were the real body, he wouldn't dare to force it. Buggy opened his mouth wide. As the red-haired man spoke, his tone became deeper and deeper. Even Bullet's pupils shrank. There was a loud bang. Even if he was dissatisfied with the red hair, he had to admit that his strength was amazing. Your growth rate is really amazing. The rest of the people were once again amazed by the red-haired attack power. This guy. But just as he was thinking this, something unexpected happened. Until the words fell, countless dark red lightnings were already lingering around the red hair. Boom. How will Yang Hao respond? Take my sword, God, avoid. The terrifying power stirs up the world. Immediately afterwards, under the shocked gaze of everyone, the giant ape transformed by Yang Hao slammed into the lion and heron. Yang Hao suddenly roared. I heard that Marco and the others have become your subordinates. It's a pity. I'm very optimistic about them too. The terrifying momentum swept across all directions. Yang Hao, it's been several months since we last met. Correspondingly, his momentum became stronger and stronger. Chapter 296 Dual forms reappear. Fierce battle with red hair, Bullet. The 15-meter-tall giant ape was covered in blood, but he was laughing. Everyone present was shocked. Even the red-haired man couldn't help but frown. Did his divine avoidance hurt the new and most powerful Sea Emperor? The answer is yes. However, Yang Hao at this time was very happy. You know, although his current form is strengthened by monsters. But monster enhancement is not his strongest form. In this form, he was able to directly avoid the red-haired attack, which was enough for him to be proud of. After all, the Bullet just now was in a very awkward situation when faced with the red-haired god, even in the combined form. Comparing the two, the performance of the two is clearly superior. This also made Bullet's face darken. Then he jumped away, landed on the ground and roared. Yang Hao, your opponent is me. I will let everyone know that I am the strongest in this sea. As soon as the words fell, Bullet was once again wrapped in a terrifying armed color, turning into a black shadow and rushing towards Yang Hao. When the red-haired man saw this, he immediately frowned. Seeing Bullet killing Yang Hao, he hesitated whether to continue his attack. After all, although Yang Hao's current reputation and status are slightly stronger than his, the other party is his junior after all. Now that we are uniting with Bullet to deal with him, isn't it a bit overwhelming? However, just as the red-haired man was thinking this, Yang Hao's laughter rang out again. Ha ha ha, red hair, what are you hesitating about? Aren't you worried that I can't deal with you at the same time? If that's the case, you're thinking too much. I still say the same thing. Come on, either beat me to death or be beaten to death by me. As the words fell, Yang Hao, who was covered in blood, saw his fierce aura surge again. The red-haired man was startled, and then he was surprised to find that Yang Hao's momentum became stronger and his huge body shrank. As the body shrinks, a large amount of hair also shrinks, revealing more human features. The next second, an even more shocking situation occurred. The golden hair turned into pure white at a speed visible to the naked eye. In addition, the remaining scars on his chest from the hard connection with the god of refuge have begun to miraculously heal on their own. Bullet's pupils shrank and his scalp felt numb. The red-haired face suddenly became extremely solemn, as if facing a powerful enemy. Everyone present felt their hearts pounding, and the weaker ones even had goosebumps and intense panic. At this time, Yang Hao's handsome face showed another smile. There is no doubt that at this time, he has transformed from a monster form to a Super Saiyan God form. In addition, he has also superimposed the Moon Lion transformation. Although he greatly despised the words of the red-haired and others, he naturally would not really despise them who were also top powerhouses. So at this moment, after testing, Yang Hao began to go all out. At this time, his body was astonishingly strong, and the recovery ability it brought was comparable to the self-healing power of the animal awakening. Of course, the strongest thing is strength. Boom. In an instant, Yang Hao turned into white lightning and flew towards the black shadow transformed by Bullet. Lightning and thunder thundered, and space shook violently. The next second, black and white meet. But there wasn't even a stalemate, and the black shadow transformed by Bullet suddenly flew backwards. The terrifying power actually penetrated the extremely solid arm domineering force and penetrated into Bullet's body. There was a pop. Bullet spat out blood and had a look of disbelief on his face. The impact that Yang Hao brought to him made him feel as if he was facing another version of himself in a combined form. But at this time, Yang Hao did not have that shocking size. It was as if extremely powerful power was blended into his small body and burst out. Faced with such power and force, Bullet simply cannot resist. Bullet was knocked away again, and the white electric light transformed by Yang Hao circled in midair and flew towards the red hair at lightning speed. The air exploded along the way, as if it couldn't bear the power of its flight. When the red-haired man saw this, he was also horrified. Without saying a word, he tightly grasped the famous sword Griffin and once again unleashed a slash that shocked all ghosts and gods. God. Avoid. The dark red lightning formed by Conqueror's sword into the sky, instantly mixing the slashing energy to form a huge lion heron. The power of this attack was even greater than before. Obviously, aware of Yang Hao's tyranny, the red hair became completely serious. However, this time, Yang Hao still did not avoid it, and even faced it forward instead of retreating. Another terrifying scene like a comet hitting the earth. The pirate flag logo on it is Yang Hao's Beast Pirates. Taking a closer look, he saw that the visitor had a ponytail. Although his face was solemn, he also had an amazing aura. With the restraint of Ben Beckman and others, the red-haired Bullet soon returned to the battlefield. After several consecutive blows, Yang Hao actually took 2 steps back. In front of the hole was Yang Hao, who was maintaining his flight and thrust. The big gun in hand is a rifle that can be programmed remotely. At this point, the identity of the visitor was naturally revealed. In addition, members of the red-haired group such as Jesus Bu and Fatty also launched powerful attacks. However, this deadlock was quickly broken. The red-haired pupil shrank, his vision burst out, and he instantly saw the future that made his expression slightly change. With this idea in mind, Yang Hao began to deal with it. The energy tide that erupted at that moment sent everyone approaching on the battlefield flying hundreds of meters away. Faced with such a lineup, even if Yang Hao doubled up, he would not be able to make any achievements for a while. After Yang Hao flew close, there was nothing fancy, he just concentrated his power on his right fist and unleashed an ape god spear. In the middle of its body, an obvious hole suddenly appeared. Facing such opponents, if he wants to achieve his goal, he must defeat them head-on. Only a moment later, a huge pirate ship appeared on the final island. Then, just as Yang Hao was about to pursue him, a strong body wielding a big gun came crashing towards him. But this time the opponent is Bullet, the red-haired pirate group known as the Iron Wall Pirates. Seeing the red hair frustrated, he couldn't help but take action. Just a simple collision could knock Bullet away. Now with the ape god gun, even if the opponent is red-haired, the result can be imagined. Faced with the siege of everyone in the red-haired group, even Yang Hao was temporarily restrained. The next moment, there was another bang, with a loud metallic sound. That's right, it's Ben Beckman, the vice-captain of the red-haired pirates. Soon, the supernovas were not willing to be left alone and joined the battle group. Amidst the loud noise, the red-haired man followed Bullet's footsteps, vomiting blood and flying back. Boom. Bang bang bang. Buggy and his gang also joined in the fun. Ha ha ha, come on, come all. Amidst the earth-shattering loud noise, the huge lion heron suddenly trembled. Without any time to think about it, he raised his hand with one hand, and a powerful weapon-colored domineering energy lingered in his right hand, and focused on the famous sword Griffin. If possible, he really hopes to solve the problem easily. However, Yang Hao still laughed endlessly. This situation was just what he wanted. White shadows flashed, thunder and lightning roared, and Yang Hao suddenly used his huge power to blast the red-haired god. Chapter 297 Stronger Form Superposition. Dark Yang Hao. A huge pirate ship appeared on the final island. It was the pirate ship under Yang Hao. Sensing this, Yang Hao, who was fighting fiercely with everyone, raised his eyebrows and then retreated with a smile on his face. At the same time, Red Hair, Bullet and others also stopped subconsciously and did not pursue. The large number of powerful auras that appeared in the induction made them feel shocked. Turning around, he saw powerful men who were famous in the New World. Katakuri, Cracker, Marco, Shiryu of Rain, Doflamingo, Moonlight Moria. Yang Hao didn't come alone. This is the Beast Pirates. Although not everyone is here, it is definitely troublesome. Everyone's expressions darkened. Even Red Hair is no exception. Only Bullet smiled again after his serious expression. This is just right, I'll catch you all in one go. In his opinion, it would be the best if he could also defeat the Beast Pirates while defeating Yang Hao. But then, just when everyone thought that the Beast Pirates would join the battle, something unexpected happened. Yang Hao suddenly laughed loudly. Haha, don't worry, they won't do anything. They just came to assist me. After the words fell, Yang Hao's figure rose into the sky and came to the top of the pirate ship. Facing the moonlight Mariah below, Yang Hao smiled and asked, Mariah, you should have finished what I told you. Now let me experience your power. Ha ha ha, no problem. Moonlight Moria laughed heartily and suddenly opened her hands. Go ahead and blend everything into that man. As Moonlight Moria finished speaking, a strange situation appeared. Black shadows floated up from his body, countless and invisible. In the blink of an eye, they turned into a dark torrent and swept towards Yang Hao. What are you doing? This strange scene naturally attracted the attention of everyone present. The red-haired pupil shrank, and he was able to predict the future and discovered something terrible. As for Bullet, his expression also changed, and his rough face became extremely solemn. As for others, such as Ben Beckman, Hawkeye, Crocodile, Kid, Luo and others, although they did not predict much, at this moment, they also felt a strong sense of foreboding. It's like something really bad is going to happen. In fact, it is indeed the case. As the torrent of shadows released by Moonlight Moria converged on Yang Hao, the latter suddenly shook his body, and an astonishing change occurred on his body. Its size skyrocketed again, becoming comparable to the giant ape form just now, and its pure white appearance also began to turn into pitch black. There were two black lines in his eyes, which looked really weird. The most terrifying thing was that the already huge and terrifying momentum suddenly rose again. Seeing Yang Hao like this, the red hair and others all looked shocked. As for Katakuri, Marco, Doflamingo and others, even though it was not the first time they saw Yang Hao in this form, they were still shocked. At this time, Yang Hao gave them an extremely terrifying feeling, as if he had suddenly turned into an ant. Of course, the most shocking thing is the caster of Moonlight Moria. The state he was superimposed on Yang Hao at this time was naturally a nightmare state. And this was also the reason why he was favored by Yang Hao. Before this, Moonlight Moria had blessed Kaido in this state. But in comparison, Yang Hao seemed more terrifying. All C fans know that this nightmare state is not so easy to form. This nightmare state was caused by Luffy's mistake. It can be said to be a high imitation version of Moonlight Moria's ultimate move, Shadow Gathering Ground. But the high imitation version is just a high imitation version after all, and it is still flawed compared to Moonlight Moria's Shadow Gathering place. The flaw is that if you want to enter the nightmare state, you must first have your shadow taken away by Moonlight Moria. As we all know, people who have their shadows taken away by Moonlight Moria will fall into a coma for a short time. But monsters are monsters and cannot be speculated based on common sense. Neither Kaido nor Yang Hao fainted when their shadows were taken away, they were just a little weak and uncomfortable. What's even more terrifying about Yang Hao is that the number of shadows he has fused is much greater than Kaido's. Kaido could only survive with 300 shadows, but Yang Hao was actually able to fuse more than 500. This amount is comparable to him, a shadow fruit user. It's really awesome. Looking at the huge swollen dark figure, Moonlight Moria's eyes bloomed with fanaticism. I must have found the right person. This man can definitely become One Piece. No, maybe he can surpass One Piece. Hearing Moonlight Moria's cry, Doflamingo looked complicated. Now, he has to admit that Yang Hao is indeed very strong. This man might be able to realize his dream and turn the world ruled by the celestial dragons upside down. Thinking of this, Doflamingo is not so reluctant to become Yang Hao's subordinate. As for the others, they naturally looked proud. The extremely powerful force seemed to conquer them. At this time, Yang Hao finally stopped changing when he grew to 15 meters high. He looked at his darkened appearance, and the smile on his lips could no longer be concealed. He has naturally seen this form in simulations. But whether it was simulation or reality, he was always shocked. The raging explosion, the extremely powerful force, is simply indescribable. If I really have to describe it, it feels like he has completely merged his three transformation forms. In the Super Saiyan God and Moon Lion transformation, he also added monster enhancement. The superposition of various forms of power is definitely not as simple as adding 1 plus 1. And this is the real reason why Yang Hao used one against many in such an occasion. Boom! Yang Hao's huge figure suddenly activated. The space shook violently, and a sound like a sonic boom arose. An invisible wave rose from Yang Hao's feet. But before it could spread, Yang Hao's figure had disappeared. The next second, the faces of the red-haired and others changed drastically. Shadows appeared above them, and Yang Hao's dark figure was like a mountain crushing down, or like a meteor falling from the sky. Boom! Immediately afterwards, before the red hair and others could react, an extremely violent shock wave burst out from somewhere on the ground. Smoke and dust are rolling, and energy is surging. The terrifying wave that was like the explosion of an atomic bomb swept around. In an instant, Kid, Luo, Buggy the Clown and other less powerful people all rolled their eyes and flew out. At the center of the impact, a large crater like a meteorite appeared, and the dark and huge Yang Hao emerged. The faces of the nearby redheads, Ben Beckman, Bullet and others all changed wildly. Drops of sweat surged from their foreheads. Looking around, there were only 3 of them besides Aokiji and Hawkeye. Yang Hao's attack just now defeated everyone from the Emperor's deputy down. Even Crocodile vomited blood and fell to the ground unconscious. Chapter 298. Calm down. The top powerhouse. The realm of transcendence. Hiss. How scary. Such power. Seeing Yang Hao defeat Crocodile and others, not only the faces of the red-haired people changed drastically, but even Katakuri and the others who stayed on the pirate ship also looked shocked. The shock at that moment spread to the entire island, and even their pirate ship was shaking. The aftermath of that terrifying power, just a hint of it, made them feel awestruck. Doflamingo's eyebrows trembled when he saw Crocodile, who was at the same level as him, being stunned for a second. After seeing Yang Hao's power with his own eyes, not only did he not object to becoming Yang Hao's subordinate, he even felt lucky. That's right, it's just a fluke. With the power shown by Yang Hao, if he really brings Don Quixote against the opponent, I am afraid that this huge family will be wiped out in just a few rounds. Only then did Doflamingo truly realize the huge gap between himself and these top experts. At this time, the venue fell into an eerie silence as the loud noises and fluctuations converged. Red hair, Ben Beckman, bullet, faces sinking as water. As for Aokiji, Hawkeye was on the outside of the battlefield, his eyes flickering, and he didn't move for a while. Beckman, go see how everyone is doing and get treatment as soon as possible. The red-haired man looked around and sensed that his partner was weak or even weak in life, and quickly asked Ben Beckman to treat him. Then what do you do? Ben Beckman was a little hesitant when he heard this. The power Yang Hao showed now was really terrifying. Without the help of Crocodile and others, it was already very difficult. If he left the battlefield again, could the red hair withstand it? When the red-haired Kaido heard this, his tone was serious. This man can no longer be dealt with by the numbers. Even if you help, I'm afraid we are no match for him. Gather everyone together and withdraw. At the end of the sentence, the red-haired voice was unwilling to give in, but as the captain, he should have made such a judgment. Facing an invincible opponent, what he has to do is not to fight to the end, but to save the lives of his partners as much as possible to escape. When Ben Beckman heard this, he immediately understood what the red-haired man was thinking and quickly backed away. Tisk, Shanks, you're scared. If that's the case, then just leave him to me alone to deal with him. Yang Hao, let's challenge each other, ha ha ha. Bullet laughed wildly, stepped forward and pounced on Yang Hao. But the result was that it flew back faster. Yang Hao struck out with a huge black fist, once again breaking Bullet's extremely powerful armed and domineering defense, sending him vomiting blood and flying backwards. When the nightmare state was not superimposed just now, Bullet's defense could no longer withstand Yang Hao's fist, let alone now. As the bullet was shot away, strong winds swept across, and the red-haired black cloak was blown away. Immediately afterwards, the evil wind came together, and Yang Hao took advantage of the trend to kill the red hair. Facing Yang Hao's attack, the red-haired man did not retreat, and suddenly slashed the griffin in his hand. A buzzing sound. A dark red sword suddenly rose. It was like splitting the sky and splitting the earth, directly cutting away the strong wind and falling towards Yang Hao. Facing this fierce slash, Yang Hao did not dodge, but with a pair of big black hands, he grabbed the white blade with his bare hands and grabbed it away. Open it for me. The size of the sword struck by the red hair was not inferior to that of Yang Hao at this time. But the moment it hit Yang Hao, he suddenly froze. What? The red-haired man was startled and immediately discovered the clue. I saw bursts of sound waves visible to the naked eye in front of Yang Hao's bloody mouth. Also mixed with dark red lightning. It turned out to be mixed with Conqueror's domineering sonic roar. Under this sonic roar, the kinetic energy of his giant slash was quickly reduced, and then he was held tightly in Yang Hao's hand almost meekly. Yang Hao exerted force, and the seemingly huge slash shattered into pieces. Compared to Yang Hao, he is still much worse. But it still doesn't help. To put it simply, it's just not enough. And this is also the reason why the red hair doesn't need Ben Beckman's help. So an hour later, Bullet also fell to the ground helplessly, lying in a large font. In fact, Hawkeye is also studying this, but he has not yet completely succeeded. But it's a pity. But what he never expected was that he lost the first time he acted. Under such circumstances, even if the red-haired man has the power to predict the future, it won't help. And just when Bullet was doubting his life, Yang Hao's voice suddenly sounded. With a bang, the red hair also vomited blood and flew back. Bullet is indeed very strong, and his physique is one of the best among the top experts. But this time, Yang Hao didn't let the red hair go. With a pair of fists as big as water tanks, he chased and beat him fiercely. However, when Yang Hao saw this, he was not surprised but happy. Ever since, seeing Yang Hao's current state, the world's greatest swordsman was also shocked. But among the top experts, there are also differences between high and low. Although they are top strong men, they are all swordsmen after all, and their bodies are not too strong. This was the first time he used his nightmare state in battle. It was not enough just to defeat Red Hair and Hawkeye. Just like that, in less than a moment, the red-haired four emperors and Hawkeye, the world's greatest swordsman, both fell to Yang Hao's fists. At this time, Yang Hao's strength has almost surpassed the level of top powerhouses due to the superimposed increase of various forms. Immediately afterwards, Yang Hao broke through the energy fluctuations and rolled over like a mountain. Originally, he thought that based on his accumulation in Impel Down City during this period, he should be able to sweep across the sea after coming out. From the Great Pirate Era to the current New Era, he has never been able to become the strongest. Is he destined to succumb to others? When his strength reaches Yang Hao's level, he actually no longer pursues any changes in moves, because every move he makes is like a big move under the extremely powerful increase in strength. Under Yang Hao's terrifying fists, they can't support them for long. Even though his opponent was the most powerful Sea Emperor currently recognized by the world, he still felt unbelievable. The red-haired man's expression changed and he quickly evaded, but the huge Yang Hao turned out to be faster than him. Of course, he did not forget his friend's situation. Seeing the red-haired man being pressed down and beaten by Yang Hao, he also waved the world's best black sword Yi and came to help. Looking at the sky, Bullet had a look of confusion on his face. The red hair's several simple but powerful counterattacks were all defeated by him, followed by a series of punches and kicks. Shouldn't it be said that he is worthy of being a powerful person in the physique style? Although Red Hair and Eagle Eye are both top powerhouses like Yang Hao. So, next, under the watchful eyes of Katakuri and others, Yang Hao and Bullet started a close-quarters fight with fists and fists. Bullet, on the other hand, ran out alive again after the Red Hair and Hawkeye fell. Chapter 299 All join the Beast Pirates. Oh, you fell down now. I thought you were so strong. Just when Bullet was doubting his life, Yang Hao's voice sounded teasingly. When Bullet heard this, he immediately frowned. At this time, Yang Hao had returned to his original appearance of a handsome man. In this form, he shouldn't be too scary. However, Bullet was completely defeated just now and could no longer resist. He just snorted to express his dissatisfaction. But Yang Hao seemed not to let him go just like that, and continued, "Do you know why you are not my opponent?" Upon hearing this, Bullet was stunned and ignored it, but his ears quietly perked up. He also wanted to know about this. Is it because of the fruit's ability? Hearing Yang Hao's words, Bullet's heart moved. He compared his abilities with Yang Hao's, and they actually agreed. His combined fruit ability is indeed powerful, and can even be said to be a magical skill in war, but in terms of duel, it seems not as good as Yang Hao's animal type. By the way, there are also several transformations that Yang Hao showed just now, as well as the blessing from Moonlight Moria. Just as Bullet was thinking this, Yang Hao asked again, "Is it still because of my transformed forms?" Neither. In the end, Yang Hao denied everything. Bullet was startled. Then Yang Hao's voice continued, "It's because you have been working behind closed doors for these years. I heard that you didn't give up practicing when you were pushing forward the city, right? But so what? Practice blindly is not the best way. In addition to practicing, you also need to fight and fight. Only in this way can people gain infinite power." Yang Hao sounded like someone who had come before. Bullet scoffed a little. After all, he had experienced quite a lot of battles and killings. Judging from Yang Hao's age, Yang Hao may not have experienced more battles and killings than him. But now, as Yang Hao is the winner, what he said naturally makes sense. Bullet couldn't help but reflect on whether it was really not good for him to practice behind closed doors in Jinjin City all these years. Otherwise, how could Yang Hao, who was so much younger than him, be able to defeat him? Seeing Bullet's thoughtful look, Yang Hao suddenly smiled to himself. He deliberately preached to Bullet, just for this effect. Strike while the iron is hot, he quickly continued. Bullet, follow me, I will provide you with more opportunities to fight and fight. Nearly all the famous strong men in this sea are under my command. If you join my pirate group, you will definitely not lack opponents. If they can't satisfy you, I will do it myself. If I can't satisfy you, I will find a stronger opponent for you. If you want to become the real strongest, then follow me and conquer the whole world." At the end, Yang Hao looked at Bullet with glowing eyes. Bullet's eyes narrowed, and then he snorted coldly. "What a boring talk, you want to take advantage of my ability, right?" Obviously, Yang Hao's ultimate goal was seen through by Bullet. Yes, Yang Hao really took a fancy to Bullet's ability. With him, you will undoubtedly get a Super Gundam. If there is a war in the future, it will definitely be a good helper. After hearing Bullet's words, Carter Curry, Marco and others naturally understood Yang Hao's purpose. They were not surprised by this. After all, they were more or less recruited by Yang Hao. What made them shake their heads secretly was that Bullet's attitude seemed to mean he wanted to refuse. But just as they were thinking this, Bullet's lips curled up. "But now, joining your pirate group seems to be able to find a suitable opponent for me. In that case, let's work together. When the time comes and you are defeated by me, don't kneel down and beg for mercy." Katakuri and others were stunned when they heard this. Bullet actually agreed. Aokiji was on the outside of the battlefield. His eyes were flickering under his sunglasses, and he didn't know what he was thinking. As for Yang Hao, he naturally smiled and reached out to pull Bullet up. In fact, Bullet's reaction was something he had expected. After all, before coming here, as cautious as he was, he had already simulated it a dozen times. Otherwise, how could Yang Hao single-handedly challenge Hongfa and others? Of course, with his past strength, he does have this qualification, but if there is a foolproof method, he will not give it up. After defeating Bullet, it is natural to conquer him. After all, his ability is indeed very useful. And this is exactly what he said when he came here. Of course, conquering Bullet is not enough to satisfy Yang Hao's appetite. Then, he looked at Aokiji who had been standing outside the battlefield. Kuzan, you've been watching for so long, shouldn't you say something? Since Yang Hao appeared, Aokiji has stopped fighting until now. Yang Hao was also not surprised by this, because he already knew Aokiji's purpose from the simulation. As Aokiji himself said just now, the reason why he appears here is to record the permanent indicator of the final island. But to obtain this permanent indicator, Aokiji does not intend to use it himself, but to donate it. That's right, just donate it. Maybe Aokiji doesn't think he can cross the sea and reach the final island, or maybe he has other purposes. In short, after Aokiji obtains the permanent indicator, he will donate it. And this object is none other than Yang Hao. At the beginning, Yang Hao was also surprised by knowing this from the simulation. In the original work, the gang Aokiji joins is Blackbeard. But now that Blackbeard is gone, it seems reasonable for him to join Yang Hao's side instead. I just don't know what his real purpose is. Is he taking this opportunity to work undercover in the Four Emperors pirate group and cooperate with Akainu inside and outside, or is he completely disappointed with the world government and wants to find another way to implement real justice? Yang Hao didn't know about this. At present, he has not simulated that long period of time. However, he did not intend to refuse Aokiji's participation. Even if Aokiji is an undercover agent, he will not attack directly, but will express himself and gain trust. Just like in the original work, Aokiji even captured Garp with his own hands and presented him to Blackbeard. It can be seen that he will not take any action before gaining Yang Hao's true trust. In this case, why did Yang Hao refuse Aokiji to join? Of course, the most important thing is that Yang Hao is very confident in his own strength and trusts the simulator. With all this, if he could successfully backstab Aokiji, he wouldn't have the right to complain. And when Yang Hao was thinking about this, it turned out to be true. Aokiji walked over slowly and said, Alala, I also want to join the Beast Pirates. I wonder if you would mind. Ape God Yang Hao. Yang Hao immediately smiled, but his submissive behavior has not stopped yet. Next, after Ben Beckman rescued Jesus Bu and others, he drove a pirate ship to the battlefield and was about to rescue Red Hair and Hawkeye. As a result, at this moment, Aokiji, Bullet, Katakuri, Marco, Ace, Shiryu of the Rain and other powerful figures appeared around, watching with eager eyes. Yang Hao stood lazily on the bow of the boat, looking down at the ugly-looking red-haired and eagle-eyed man. Hey, Redhead, and Hawkeye, do you want to cooperate? Upon hearing this, Red Hair and Hawkeye looked at each other in silence. Chapter 300 The strongest pirate group in history, Akainu's determination. Marinefando, Marine Headquarters. Akainu is smoking a cigar in the office. Suddenly some subordinates came to report. Sakaski Fleet Admiral, there is new information from the Pirate Expo. When Akainu heard this, his eyes suddenly focused and he asked, Tell me. The subordinate nodded and continued to report solemnly. The message was sent back by Major General Smoker. At the Pirate Expo, more pirates appeared, including the red-haired pirates, and even the Sea of Beasts later. The thieves have all appeared. Hearing this, Akainu's pupils shrank suddenly and asked, So, Yang Hao also appeared. The subordinate nodded again. Then what? Then it disappeared. The other strong men of the Beast Pirates cleared the area there, and Major General Smoker had to leave. Clear the place. Just start hitting everyone there. After hearing this, Akainu's face became completely serious. The lineup of this Pirate Expo was far beyond his expectation. Of course, if the prize is a permanent indicator that records the final island of Raftru, it is no wonder that the pirates are so crazy and crazy. Akainu felt a headache when he thought that something like this might fall into the hands of the red-haired pirates or the Beast Pirates. The current situation is already very unfavorable to their marine. If a One Piece were to appear, it would be even more troublesome. It seems that the relocation of Marine headquarters is inevitable. If we stay in Marineland any longer, we will simply not be able to keep up with the times. There is also the need to speed up the recruitment of soldiers around the world. Of course, although we no longer keep track of things happening at the expo, we still need to pay close attention. Ever since, when the new news of the world was released, it was immediately placed on Akainu's desk. Looking at the news headline, veins jumped in Akainu's forehead. Open black lens bracket. The strongest pirate group in history appears, close black lens bracket. The One Piece Expo is over, and this newspaper is obviously a relevant report. That guy from Morgan's has obviously been holding back another big wave. Others don't know, but even Akainu felt a turmoil in his heart when he read the newspaper. Douglas Bullet, who escaped from eternal hell on the 6th floor of Impel Down, suddenly appeared at the One Piece Expo. If it was just like this, forget it, but this descendant of the devil finally joined Yang Hao and became a member of the Beast Pirates. The original 10,000 Beasts pirates, with Yong Hao as the strongest 4 emperors, a large number of royal lieutenants, and powerful men with a billion belly bounty, were already the most powerful emperors. Now with the addition of Bullet, it's simply as powerful as a tiger. Such a lineup can even compete with the Rock's pirates. After all, of the Rock's pirate group at that time, only Rocks had the power of an emperor. At that time, Whitebeard, Big Mom, Golden Lion and others had not yet fully grown up, and their strength was only around the level of Deputy Emperor. This shows how amazing this situation is. Of course, if this is the case, the Beast's pirates are just benchmarking against the Rock's pirates. To say they are the strongest in history is still a bit exaggerated. But what if even Aokiji, the former Marine General, joins the Beast pirates? Akainu's face became extremely ugly. Yes, in addition to Bullet, former Marine General Aokiji also joined the Beast pirates. And this is what is in the newspaper. Seeing this, Akainu knew that he was going to be scolded again. Sure enough, within a moment, the call from 5 elders came. The dignified Marine Fleet Admiral was trained like a grandson on the phone. After all, the current situation is not a matter of Marine's loss of Aokiji's huge combat power. But the pirates have one more top-notch strongman. This is an unparalleled and huge blow to the prestige and existence of their marine, world government. Akainu's face was as dark as water, but he didn't dare to argue at all. In addition to his strength, a large part of the reason why he was able to become a Marine Fleet Admiral was also due to the support of the world government. In other words, he was helped by the world government when he was not Marine General. Otherwise, even if he has good strength and extraordinary abilities, he will not be able to rise to the top and even sit on the throne of Marine Fleet Admiral. Regarding 5 elders, Akainu really didn't dare to say anything more. In addition, he had to admit that he was partly responsible for Aokiji's current situation of joining the Beast Pirates. If he hadn't been so overbearing and could communicate well with Aokiji, his brother-in-law for many years, maybe this wouldn't have happened. In the end, all Akainu could do was promise the 5 elders to annihilate the Beast Pirates as soon as possible. After all, the current Beast Pirates have grown to a behemoth that can truly threaten Marine and world government. If such a behemoth does not fall, Marine and the world government will be stuck in their throats. Seeing how obedient and sensible Akainu was, the 5 elders finally said nothing more. In fact, they also know that Akainu is under great pressure. So now, it is better not to put more pressure on Akainu, otherwise, if Akainu gives up his burden, they will not know who to find as Marine Fleet Admiral. The Sengoku guy was obviously frustrated, and Aokiji left, and Kizaru was a fisherman. Looking at the entire Marine, the only one who can carry the banner of Marine is Akainu. The most important thing is that Akainu's style of conduct and loyalty are also recognized by their world government. In this way, the call ended with Akainu's assurance. After the phone call ended, Akainu's expression did not soften. Although he almost issued a military order with the 5 elders, it is still a very difficult task to really annihilate the Beast Pirates. Just imagine, even if they have to deal with the Whitebeard Pirates, their Marines will have to use most of their strength. Now they have to deal with the stronger Beasts Pirates. You can imagine how difficult it is. Good thing. The Beast Pirates have become stronger, and their Marines have not stood still. After several months of world conscription, their Marine numbers have been quickly replenished, even more than before. Moreover, various Marine General positions have also been greatly supplemented, including Marine Generals. Thinking of this, Akainu suddenly picked up the phone and called. Call Fujitora and Green Bull over. I have something to discuss with them. After a while, 2 tall figures appeared in Akainu's office. One is a blind swordsman and the other is a curly-haired man. None other than Fujitora and Green Bull. You two are here, take a seat. I am here to give you your first mission. Mission content. Annihilate the Beast Pirates. Hearing Akainu's words, Fujitora immediately raised his eyebrows. Green Bull laughed. As expected of Sakazuki Fleet Admiral, he was so aggressive right from the start. Then the 3 of them started a discussion around this topic. Chapter 301 Marines come out in full force. Two-way surprise attack. The country of peace. This day, on the surface of the outer sea, bulges suddenly appeared. Boom, boom, small at first, then gradually bigger. The water then fell. In the blink of an eye, the entire outer sea surrounding Wano country surged. All because of the strange bulge phenomenon, hundreds of them suddenly appeared. Immediately afterwards, the first bulge completely pushed away the sea water, revealing its true identity. It turned out to be a medium-sized warship. 1 ship, 2 ships, 10 ships, 20 ships. In the blink of an eye, dozens of medium-sized warships broke through the water and appeared on the sea. Then, a larger bulge appeared, and in the rushing water, warships larger than medium-sized warships suddenly appeared. This is a large warship. There are also 20 or 30 ships. But this is not the limit, there are still some very large warships appearing on the sea one after another. A refreshing sea breeze was blowing, but the atmosphere in this area suddenly became solemn due to the appearance of many warships. It can be seen that almost all medium-sized warships are elite marines. On the super-large warship were some giant marines and generals. As for those large warships, the lineup on the leading warship was simply unimaginably luxurious. Akainu, Kizaru, Fujitora, Green Ox, Marine Fleet Admiral, as well as the three marine generals known as the most powerful marines, are all present. Behind them, Sengoku, Crane, Momosuge, T-Dolphin, Ghost Spider, Flying Squirrel and other high-ranking marine generals were also listed. This kind of lineup is much more luxurious than the previous top war. So what is Akainu going to do after gathering such a luxurious lineup? Very simple. That is to attack the country of Wano. To be more precise, it is to annihilate the beast pirates. As I said before, the current 10,000 beasts pirates have grown to the point where the world government is having a stranglehold on their throats and making them unhappy. Ever since, after the world recruitment, Akainu, as the Marine Fleet Admiral, made a prompt decision and discussed with Fujitora and Green Bull a plan to annihilate the beast pirates. In fact, there is no need to think about any plans. With the current scale of the 10,000 beasts pirates, they would definitely not be able to defeat them if they didn't attack in full force. So the only thing they need to consider is how to gather people secretly, and then secretly attack the location of the beast pirates. The plan was a success. They spent a month gathering people secretly, and then used bubble wrap to cross the sea and directly enter the outer sea of Wano country. Speaking of which, their move was inspired by Whitebeard. At that time, Whitebeard used bubble wrap to surprise Malinfando, and the effect was obviously good. Now, they are following suit and it seems to be working very well. At least at this time, there is no movement in Wano country. Smile. Then it's up to you. Akainu turned to Fujitora and said. Coming to the open sea and entering the country of Wano is not that simple. You still need to cross the cliff waterfall. But with Fujitora, they don't have to work so hard. Okay, let's pass the order and ask everyone to sit still. Fujitora nodded and stood out from the crowd. Akainu immediately complied and passed Fujitora's words to the arranger one by one through the phone bug. After a moment, after confirming that everything was correct, Fujitora drew the sword in his staff. Buzz. At this moment, a wave of gravity suddenly spread out with Fujitora as the center. In the blink of an eye, the large warship where Fujitora was located was enveloped. Akainu and others all felt their bodies sink. But that's not it yet, the gravity circle continues to spread. 1,000 meters, 10,000 meters, or even the entire area. At this moment, everyone felt the gravity on their body. Fortunately, Akainu had warned him beforehand, otherwise many Marines would have knelt down by now. But gravity comes and goes just as quickly. In the blink of an eye, everyone felt their bodies become lighter, but then started to shake again the next second. It turns out that after gravity spreads around everyone, it sinks directly and attaches itself to the warship. The next second, something incredible happened. A medium-sized warship took off almost without warning. That's right, it was flying, but not one, but hundreds of warships present, all flew against common sense. Oh my god, what's going on? No wonder we have to fix our bodies. There were screams of surprise from the Marines. The giant Marines also screamed. Only Akainu and others were very calm. All because they all know Fujitora's abilities. Paramesha, heavy fruit. This ability can control gravity. And now, Fujitora is using his extremely powerful gravity control to bring hundreds of warships into the air. In this way, a terrifying flying fleet was formed. Then Fujitora thought, and those warships flew over the cliffs and waterfalls like birds, and flew into the country of Wano. Yishao has a pretty good ability. Yes, it is comparable to the ability of the Golden Lion. Warring states and he discussed in low voices. In fact, they are somewhat unfavorable about the world conscription. It's too messy to be able to serve as a marine general based only on strength and not on military achievements. If we recruit some people with evil intentions and ungrateful intentions, wouldn't it be counterproductive and bring disaster upon ourselves? Of course, the world conscription still has merits. At least they did recruit 2 general-level combat forces through this. Whether it's Green Bull or Fujitora, their abilities and combat power can greatly enhance Marines' strength. Especially Fujitora, his existence is comparable to the Golden Lion to some extent. And now, with the help of his ability, they can enter Wano country faster and carry out surprise attacks. The moment they entered Wano country, both Sengoku and the leader Akainu's expressions became solemn. Although their current lineup is even more luxurious than the top ones, even exaggerated. But the opponent is still not to be underestimated. This is the existence that surpasses the 4 emperors and truly becomes the most powerful Sea Emperor. If you start a battle with him, you must be at your best. Even now, this is just one of the opponent's many territories. There shouldn't be the entire 10,000 beasts pirates hiding here, but we still can't be careless. So, the moment they flew into the country of Wano, they had already tacitly activated their knowledge and began to investigate. But soon, the expressions of Akainu and others turned suspicious. What's going on? So weird. In their induction, there is a lot of life in the country of Wano. But these life breaths are not that powerful. Most of them are ordinary people, and there are some strong ones, but none of them are at the level of emperor or deputy. What's going on? Before coming here, they clearly inquired and found out that Yonghao was here. Even if Yang Hao happens to be out, it is impossible that there will not be a strong deputy emperor here. Logically speaking, no matter what happens, 2 royal lieutenants should be left to guard it. They came all the way and made plans, but they came to nothing. Where is Yang Haoran? Where did it go? And the strong men under him? And at the same time Akainu and others missed the point. Marie Joya. A large number of powerful auras suddenly descended here. The leader is Yang Hao. Looking at the holy and majestic island in front of him, the corners of his mouth slowly raised. Surprise attack on the Holy Land, today. Chapter 302 The red-haired man takes action and his relationship with the Supreme Commander of the Knights of God. Yang Hao looked at the Holy Land, a smile slowly appeared on his face. A month has passed since his battle with Bullet, the redhead. Within this month, the Marine World recruitment was over, and the plan for a surprise attack on Wano country had even been deployed. But Yang Hao did not stand still. Even within this month, he started countless simulations. These simulations are naturally tests to establish world government. In fact, Yang Hao also knew that as his 10,000 beasts pirates grew further, he even conquered the red-haired pirates. It is absolutely impossible for the world government to sit back and watch his existence anymore. If we say that his existence before was just a fishbone for the world government. So now, it is obviously a malignant tumor. If it is not removed, the world government will probably perish as a result. Realizing this, Yang Hao naturally would not sit back and wait for death, but decided to strike first. Of course, before that, in order to ensure nothing went wrong, he still had to conduct a simulation first as always. Ever since, in the eyes of Akainu and others, their plan this time was considered a surprise attack. In fact, Yang Hao had long understood this. Yang Hao even knew that although Akainu and other marines came out in full force, they were only the vanguard. After the war finally breaks out, the world government will continue to send out all the forces, including pacifists, the strongest humans, CP's 6-type Superman, the Knights of God, and even the 5 Elders. All in all, we want to annihilate the beast pirates in one fell swoop. Having foreseen these situations, Yang Hao naturally took precautions long ago. So Akainu and others made a fuss. And let alone the country of Wano, now even the territories of all countries and even the original Whitebeard pirates are empty. This is all because Yang Hao used the ability of the mirror fruit to teleport all the powerful people to the Holy Land Marie Joa. This time, not only will he fail the surprise attack by Akainu and others, he will also use all his strength to launch a surprise attack on the Holy Land and completely overthrow the world government. Ever since, as Yang Hao appeared, more powerful men filed out of the mirror passage. Katakuri, Jin, Quinn, Shiryu of the Rain, Marco, Ace, Whitebeard, Kaido, and Big Mom's old subordinates are all here. There are also Moonlight Moria, Doflamingo and his Don Quixote cadres, even Hawkeye, Crocodile, and even the Joker are here. In addition, there are also strong men such as Bullet, Aokiji, the red-haired pirates. Of course, there are also the revolutionary forces who have formed an alliance with Yang Hao, Long, Sabo, Ivankov. This super luxurious lineup is absolutely unprecedented and unprecedented. In the Battle of the Valley of the Gods back then, in front of such a lineup, they were all younger brothers. At this moment, it seemed as if even the sky was shaken. The clouds and mist in the sky rolled back and dispersed as if they were fleeing. And as countless tyrannical auras swept away, the strong men in Mariajoya naturally felt something. I am, who was showering flowers among the flowers, made a move. The expressions of the 5 elders who were preparing for the battle changed drastically. What's going on? Why does Mariajoya have so many powerful auras? How is that possible? It's incredible. They were all preparing to teleport to help Akainu and others, but unexpectedly someone stole it. And it seems self-evident that so many powerful people can be gathered in the world today. It's the beast pirates. They actually reached the Holy Land. Immediately after, came the Knights of God and others. The old man at the head was the ancient Saint Fegolando Green. Sensing the presence of so many strong men, the Supreme Commander of the Knights of God flashed a look of horror in his eyes, and then directly ordered, all members of the Knights of God, come with me to meet the enemy. Quote. Enemy attack, enemy attack. The quiet and peaceful Holy Land quickly became noisy due to the appearance of Yang Hao and others. Sirens, curses, and running sounds all rang out. But then, the first ones to appear to intercept Yang Hao and others were the guards of the Holy Land and the CP station nearby. Each of these people rushed towards Yang Hao without fear of death. Come on, kill the intruder. This is a holy land, and intruders will be killed without mercy. Don't let them escape. But then, when they saw the appearance of Yang Hao and others clearly, the guards suddenly stopped again. Those CP members also took a deep breath and looked incredulous. Yang Hao, this is the Beast Pirates. Oh my god, what's going on? Are everyone here from the Beast Pirates? Then he called out to the minis in detail. Red Hair, Shiryu of the Rain, Jin, Quinn, Marco, Fire Fist Ace, and the Dragon of the Revolutionary Army, Sabo. Oh my god, how do you fight this kind of fairy lineup? In fact, there is no need to fight. Although the guards of the Holy Land are very powerful and the CPs are also 6-type supermen, it is too easy for the current 10,000 Beasts pirates to solve them. Let me do it. The redhead smiled and took a step forward. This time, he did not activate the face fruit ability, but started at 0 frame, and countless dark red lightning suddenly appeared around him. Boom! Lightning intertwined, and in the blink of an eye it was outlined into a huge lion heron, flying towards the guards and CP in front. A terrifying hurricane followed. The ground seemed to be unable to withstand the power and burst violently. Immediately afterwards, a shocking scene occurred. Bang bang bang. The leading guards suddenly turned their eyes white and fell down. And this action seemed to be a signal. The guards behind him, as well as the CPs, were all shaken and fell to the ground. Thousands of guards and CPs were defeated by the red-haired conqueror's domineering move. As expected of a redhead, Marco immediately sighed in admiration. He had always envied the red-haired conqueror's domineering strength. It's simply too strong, and it even extends to physical effects. When Yang Hao saw this, he was not surprised. Where is this? He knew very well how domineering the red-haired conqueror's was, but it was just a small test at the moment. If the redhead releases Conqueror's haki with all his strength, he will be able to seal even the sight and smell, and even the Marine Lieutenant General will be stunned. Let's go. Of course, now is not the time to be shocked. It is best for them to go straight to Wonglong before other guards and CPs can rush over. Otherwise, even if they can deal with the guards and CP later, part of their combat power will be delayed. In this way, Yang Hao led a large number of powerful men and went straight to the Tianlong Palace. But halfway through, there were 20 figures blocking the way. It is the Knights of God. The leader, ancient Saint Fegalando Green, looked extremely solemn when he saw Yang Hao and others. But as soon as he saw the red hair, he immediately became furious. Shanks, you rebellious son, are you really going to rebel? Hearing this, everyone was startled and looked strange. There is so much information here. Chapter 303 The World Government, already riddled with holes, finally meets IM. At this moment, everyone looked at the red hair in surprise. The Supreme Commander of the Knights of God actually called the red-haired traitor. Does this mean that red-haired Shanks is this man's son? You know, this is the top level of world government. Everyone's expressions became strange, even Jesus BU and others were no exception. Ben Beckman, on the other hand, had a calm expression, which was no surprise. All because he knew the red-haired identity. Besides that, it's Yang Hao. As a time traveler, he has long known that the identity of the red-haired person is not simple. He is the baby that Roger picked up from the Island of Gods. Judging from his talent and later secretly infiltrating the world government, it seems that he and the world government are inextricably linked. The most likely possibility is that he is also a descendant of the Tianlong people. But during the battle in the Valley of Gods, an accident occurred and he was left homeless. And now, the words of ancient Saint Fegalandu Green have undoubtedly confirmed this. In fact, Yang Hao also had doubts about red hair. He is not like Doflamingo after all. Doflamingo, it is absolutely impossible to be loyal to the world government. There is no longer a place for him in the world government. But the red hair is different. As long as he is willing, he can probably return to the family immediately, and even become one of the many powerful people in the world government. So, will such a redhead rebel when attacking the world government? There is no doubt that with red hair's strength, if he temporarily betrays the enemy, it will definitely have a great impact on the battle situation. Of course, Yang Hao would not allow such unstable factors to exist. So he had already tested the red-haired attitude in the simulation. Good thing. Today's world government has long become rotten. In addition, the red-haired man was raised by Roger, and his way of thinking has long been inclined to Roger. Therefore, his attitude is to destroy relatives for justice. Understanding this, Yang Hao naturally felt relieved to let the red hair participate in the battle. And at this time, as expected, after hearing the words of the ancient Saint Fegalando Green, the red-haired man said indifferently, "Father, this ship of world government is already riddled with holes. It's better to take this opportunity to leave. Otherwise, I won't be able to save you then. It's not that I want to rebel, but the actions of the world government have brewed this unprecedented wave. It is destined to be overthrown." After hearing this, everyone was naturally relieved. The ancient Saint Fegalandu Green said angrily, "Hole, you have no idea how great the world government is. Its horror is beyond your imagination. I will capture you now. When the time comes, I will go to the top. If you beg for mercy, I can spare your life." The red-haired man no longer responded, but silently raised Griffin and waved it violently. God avoids. The huge lion heron swept away with a roar, mixed with terrifying slashes. This blow was his answer. The ancient Saint Fegalando Green was furious and faced him with his sword. At that moment, the seemingly old body burst out with amazing power. Boom! The red-haired god was actually killed. Immediately afterwards, ancient Saint Fegalando Green waved his long sword and struck hard at the red-haired man. "If that's the case, then I'll kill you, the traitor, first." The two top experts started a fierce battle. At the same time, The Knights of God under the ancient Saint Fegalando Green were not idle either, and they all started to kill Yong Hao and others. Among them, there is also the giant female Leia whom Yong Hao met when he simulated conquering world government for the first time. But this time, Yong Hao did not take action. The target of Leia and others is obviously the leader Yong Hao. As long as he is killed, this unprecedented attack will probably be quelled. But before Leia and others could get close, the strong men of the Beast Pirates also took action. Ice Wall, Glutinous Ball, Slash, Flame. Various powerful attacks intercepted all 20 Knights of God. The average strength of these Knights of Gods is around that of the Emperor's deputy, and some even rival the 4 Emperors. But it's a pity that there are more powerful people in the Beast Pirates. Ever since, even many strong players have no chance to take action because they are positioned further back. Boom boom boom. When Yong Hao saw this, he couldn't help laughing. This is the Beast Pirates that he worked so hard to create. But now, there are so many powerful people that even the world government, which has ruled the world for 800 years, cannot avoid them. Then Yong Hao didn't waste any time. He selected a few free people and took them straight to the Celestial Dragon Palace. That is Pangu City. 800 years later, an outsider finally walked in front of him. Ever since, Yong Hao successfully entered the depths of Pangu City, among the flowers. Sob was the first to attack. Among them, Sabo, although his qualifications are relatively junior, has become one of the top powerhouses because he has the same power of the Blue Dragon as Kaido. He who comes, stop here, this is Pangu City. These people are Aokiji, Bullet, Sabo, Dragon, and Hawkeye. There is no doubt that the strength of these 5 people has reached the level of top experts. But just holding them back is enough. Of course, Yong Hao didn't expect 5 people to be able to kill the 5 elders. After all, these 5 guys were immortal. The bursting power fluctuated and quickly moved away from Yong Hao and others. Next, I am looking at Yong Hao with his eyes like reincarnation eyes and couldn't help but be stunned. But soon, 5 violent auras appeared in front of Yong Hao and others. Spiders, centaurs, sandworms, wild boars, strange birds. The Beast Pirates are about to be destroyed. Let these 5 people deal with the 5 elders, just fine. Here, he finally saw the real person behind the world government, I am. As for Bullet, start combining and transforming. But at this time, there were 5 monsters standing in front of Pangu City. When the 5 elders' expressions changed greatly, Yong Hao had already taken another step and completely entered Pangu City. What a bunch of old people. I'll leave them to you. Each head is huge and terrifying in appearance. Without a doubt, none other than 5 elders. And Aokiji turned into an ice crystal figure and moved forward step by step. Then came the dragon. With a wave of his hand, several tornadoes rose from the ground. Yong Hao scratched his ears and said to the people behind him. Pangu City, arrived. Why are you talking so much? Just kill them. Yong Hao, you are already on the verge of death. Surrender obediently. Maybe I can give you a happy life. Possessing the artificial blue dragon fruit, he turned into a peach-colored dragon in the blink of an eye, soaring in the air and waving 2 terrifying giant claws. The simplest one is Hawkeye, who swings a slash that reaches the sky and the earth. The 5 elders wanted to stop it, but under the attack of Sabo and others, they couldn't do it. First time we meet. Hello, my name is Yong Hao. Damn reptile, how dare you offend our world government? The 5 elders scolded each other. Chapter 304 The Truth of the World. The Power of Law and the Law of Power. This moment, I am was stunned. 800 years later, an outsider finally came to him. After looking at Yong Hao carefully for a few times, I am felt very strange. All because Yong Hao was not the person he expected. Aren't you Joey Boy? I am was extremely confused. As far as she knew, only Joy Boy could come to him, overthrow her rule, and take away everything from her. But obviously, Yong Hao is not. There was no trace of Joy Boy's breath on his body. Hearing this, Yong Hao suddenly laughed. Who says I'm not Joey Boy's? Just hearing Yong Hao's answer made I am even more surprised. She also had some speculation about Joy Boy's reincarnation. Generally, they are hosts of rubber fruits. Of course, it could also be other people, such as Poseidon, or a rebellious son like Blackbeard. But right now, Luffy, as the rubber fruit host, has not yet awakened his ability and consciousness. Blackbeard even died. As for Poseidon, he also hasn't fully awakened. In other words, Joey Boy has not been reincarnated yet, but what is going on with Yong Hao who appears in front of him now? You know, according to fate, only Joey Boy can achieve the situation in front of him, compete with the world government, and come before him. At this time, Yong Hao seemed to have noticed Yemu's doubts, and immediately smiled and said, You are wrong, I am Joey Boy. As long as the power is enough, anyone can be Joey Boy. What? I am was startled, and then his whole body was shaken. Yes, isn't it the biggest evidence that Yong Hao can come here and talk to him head on? He is Joey Boy. Im's expression became complicated, and he asked again, Have you been to the final island? Have you even broken the seal? Certainly. Yong Hao nodded and said with a smile, I went there and saw the devil tree. To be more precise, it should be the world tree. There is the origin of the world. It is worth mentioning that after obtaining the permanent indicator recording the location of the final island from Bullet, Yang Hao started simulating it. Originally, he thought that there would be nothing to gain from going by himself, and that Luffy, the son of destiny, would have to go, but later, he found that he was overthinking it. As Roger said, everything in the world is indeed hidden there, but it doesn't necessarily require Luffy, he can do it too. After hearing this, I.M. was even more sure that Yang Hao was Joey Boy. All because only Joy Boy's power can open the seal of the final island and see the world tree. So now you know the truth about this world, even for 100 years, right? Yang Hao nodded again. The so-called truth of the world. To put it simply, the entire pirate world was born from a world tree. The world tree is like the god of this world, creating all things. But one day, a human being became greedy and caused damage to the world tree. The 3,000 magics on the world tree spread to all parts of the world, and became what the world calls devil fruit. That person was also destroyed by the turbulent flow of law and turned into pieces. Later, in order to protect himself, World Tree created a race of ancient giants to protect itself. The country where the ancient giant race is located is the legendary huge kingdom that ruled the world 800 years ago. Joy Boy is the king chosen by the World Tree. There was nothing left at first, but after the man who destroyed the World Tree turned into pieces and died, the greed in his body did not dissipate. Instead, it was scattered all over the world and integrated into new lives. After these new beings grew up, they were also driven by greed and formed 20 kingdom coalition armies to launch a war against the huge kingdom. The result of the war is naturally self-evident. The Tianlong people won, and the leader among them was I.M. After I.M. ruled the world, he began to seek immortality. The longer he lives, the more he sees, and he even knows about the existence of the world tree. Ever since, he was afraid that the history of the huge kingdom would expose the existence of the world tree, so he ordered all information to be blocked. A blank 100 years was thus formed. But at this time, World Tree also felt the danger and sealed itself. He also has countermeasures, which is to resurrect Joy Boy, destroy I.M., and protect himself. The idea of the World Tree is equivalent to the will of the world. Although it has no entity, it is everywhere. As a result, after 800 years of prosperity, world government finally began to decline. Based on this, I.M. also had a premonition that Joy Boy was about to be resurrected. What he didn't expect was that before he found Joey Boy, Yang Hao, who called himself Joey Boy, had already arrived in front of him. At this time, Yang Hao couldn't help feeling that the history of this pirate world was too fantasy. As for Yang Hao, of course he is not Joey Boy, but what he wants to do at this time is the same as Joey Boy, so there seems to be nothing wrong with treating him as Joey Boy. Thinking like this, Yang Hao looked at I.M. and asked seriously, "So, are you ready to be eliminated by me?" Just hearing this, I.M. suddenly laughed. "Ha ha 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 ha, do you want to destroy me? Joy Boy, you're late. If it were 10 years ago, I might not be able to defeat you. But now, what are you going to do with me?" As soon as he finished speaking, I.M.'s figure changed drastically. He originally had a very strange appearance regardless of gender. But now, it has turned into a giant monster of 100 meters, like a bat, but more like a devil. Yang Hao felt a strong threat from I.M. at this time. Demon I.M. continued to laugh. "Joy Boy, you have already felt it. Yes, this is the power of the law. People in this world think that devil fruits can only be awakened once. In fact, devil fruits can be awakened twice and master the power of law. Now, after spending hundreds of years, I have completely mastered the power of a law. If I find the world tree, I can even conquer it. Ha 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 ha. Speaking of which, I also want to thank you for helping me open the seal, which saved me a lot of effort. But with your current strength, you will definitely not be able to defeat me. I am extremely proud. It can kill Joey Boy once, and it can kill Joey Boy a second time. It turns out that this is the power of law." Yang Hao felt it and nodded. It is indeed very strong. But he soon laughed again. "I am, who told you that my current power is just enough to break the seal of the world tree?" Hearing this, I.M.'s face changed. It stared at Yang Hao closely, its eyes gradually filled with horror. Yang Hao, on the other hand, threw out a mirror. In an instant, the mirror formed a channel, and a large amount of black smoke came out from it. Those are thousands of shadows. In the shadow world, Moonlight Moria activated the Shadow Fruit ability and gave Yang Hao a nightmare state. A powerful aura suddenly rose into the sky. 2 black lines appeared under Yang Hao's eyes, and the faceplate turned blue. "Is this the power you call?" "Nothing more than that." When I.M. saw this scene, he was shocked at first, and then showed a mocking look on his face. Yang Hao grinned. "I.M., you know nothing about my power. Just open your eyes and watch." Boom. The next second, Yang Hao activated the Super Saiyan God form again. A circle of golden arrogance emerged around him. Yang Hao's aura strengthened a lot. This is a fist that can break even laws. After such experiences reached a terrifying level, his ape fruit ability finally entered the awakening state. The next second, he clenched his fist and fired the strongest ape god spear from time to time. But now, he has become stronger again than before. Bang! At first glance, it looks like Super Saiyan 4. In Im's frightened scream, the extremely powerful force instantly crushed him to pieces. Yang Hao stood there and opened his arms. Within the golden flames, streaks of blue lightning quickly emerged. This is the transformation of Moon Lion. Immediately revealed the origin of the black flame cloud. Yes, it is awakening. At this time, he is more terrifying than Super Saiyan 4. No, in this month, Yang Hao simulated it countless times, and every time he wandered between life and death, or even died directly. Impossible. But the lingering black flame clouds, the constantly washing golden flames, the streaks of blue light and electricity around him, and the continuous domineering energy all prove. Yang Hao's hair turned snow white. Im felt this very clearly, with a ghostly look on his ugly and weird face. This is the law of force. Ever since this moment. Cool. Yang Hao raised his eyes and glanced at Im. Only then did Yang Hao understand that narrow escapes, and crazy jumps between life and death were the shortcuts to awakening animal abilities. As this, awakening, law, after superimposing the power of awakening, Yang Hao's pure white hair turned back to pitch black. This is not over yet. With one punch, the flames, arrogance, thunder and domineering energy around Yang Hao all seemed to be summoned and merged into his fist. This book is finished. There is no doubt that Yang Hao has activated his strongest form when he fought against Bullet, Red Hair and others. Just when Yi Mu was shocked, a black flame cloud rose out of thin air, lingering around Yang Hao like a streamer. Im's face changed wildly, and the power of law condensed all over his body, forming a shield of law in front of him. But after only a second of stasis, the shield of law suddenly shattered.